Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Northern Perspective. Hopefully you can hear us this time.
Yeah, because I had to throw out my sign. I ripped it.
So anyhow, I'm sure we will hear shortly if people cannot hear us. So anyway, that would be great. So welcome back to Northern Perspective, everybody. I'm Ryan/Cypher.
And I'm Tanya, formerly known as Fox.
It is starting to get weird saying Cypher, let me tell you.
Yeah,
So,
it feels like it's been forever since we've kind of ditched the puppets and just come in front of the cameras, but it's only been about 6 months, not even. So
yeah, I guess 6 months would be January. So anyway, lots of fun. Before we go into anything, let's go over rules of the day.
So it's the same 3 rules as always. Please respect each other and the platform. Means no fighting in chat, no attacking each other, and please don't say nasty things about the folks on screen, including Ryan and I. Number 2 is no selling, soliciting, or spamming in the chat. And number 3 is please don't use profanity. We have our 3 moderators here tonight. We have William, Jester, and Barnaby, and they're all here to help enforce the rules and make the chat a pleasant place. Because tonight is our special year-end live stream, we will unfortunately not be able to take general questions tonight, but our moderators are there if you want to discuss something with them, or you can chat amongst yourselves, and we will be taking questions next week.
We have a packed agenda today, so it's going to be fun, I think. It's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be emotional. Like this time last year, we had, I think, just around 35,000 subscribers. So in a year, we've gained almost an additional 100,000 folks in NP Nation. This is, I think, beyond our wildest dreams. When we started this channel, our goal was to get to 1,000 followers so that we could monetize this channel and start raising money for our son and his therapy. And we, I guess, didn't realize how hungry Canadians were for the truth. And we are just so honored that you've chosen to spend your time with us.
100%. And it's so humbling running into people, getting emails from people just saying how important it is to them what we do, even though it's still kind of weird because, like, just think of yourself, right? Think of yourself and just think of if you were to have a YouTube channel, would you think that anyone would want to listen to you? Like, we didn't think anyone would want to listen to us, but we said, well, let's see what happens, right? And this is what happens. So we are so appreciative of all the support that we have had and continue to have. And, we've met so many amazing people along the way, and that just continues. And
I think tonight is going to showcase some of the amazing folks that we've met along our journey and who we get to talk to. It's been absolutely wild. I never thought that we would be doing MP interviews. This is, again, just beyond our wildest dreams. This has been absolutely amazing, and we are so honored and humbled to be doing this.
Well, and even the reach that we've had, we were contacted today by, a very special viewer out in Los Angeles. So if you're watching, thank you for contacting us. And it's just wild, completely wild in terms of the reach that we have. And this, this person out in Los Angeles, not a Canadian citizen. So, but that's how the internet works, right? So anyway, to those of you that have been with us since the puppet days, bless you for sticking through the puppet days. And for those of you who came after that, who came after our reveal, thank you so much for just sticking around and tuning in, because you tuning in is what allows us to continue the fight, right? And the fight will not end when the Conservative government or Conservatives take government, because that's in all likelihood what's going to happen. The fight will continue, because we will then be holding the Conservative government to account to make sure that they deliver on what they promise, that they practice what they preach in terms of, not tolerating corruption and holding people to account. So we'll see what happens, but we will be there, and we hope that you will join us in that journey, because you cannot take your eyes off of government ever. Even if you think you can trust them, do not take your eyes off of government. You have to make sure that they are doing what is in the best interest of Canada.
And what they promised to do.
Right. So we're already at 2473 in terms of viewers, 1,100 likes. So let's pick that up, folks. We have structured the show today to ensure that we get our content in,
because we know that you guys want to know who's in these interviews. We let out like a sneak peek on, what was it, Friday night, and I saw a couple correct guesses and a couple that were way out there. There was a few that I don't think anybody guessed one of our MP interviews, so this is going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Before we get started, we do want to say a special thank you to Tracy, who made us some very cool keychains. I don't know if you can see them there on the screen. It's our logo. It says Northern Perspective. And Tracy's asked me to hand these out to members of MP Nation. So if you see us walking around, stop us. And hopefully I've got one on hand and I can give you one. And then this special gift was from Walter. So this is awesome. It's a cribbage board, and I don't know what kind of wood it's made of, but it's absolutely stunning, and it's got like a resin inlay. It's got our logo down in the bottom corner. It's absolutely stunning. Walter's a cabinet maker and says from time to time he designs different things, and came up with this cribbage board, which is just awesome because when I was a little girl, I used to have my best friend, her name was Katie, and we used to play cribbage all the time. Now it's been probably a good 25 years, so I'm going to have to relearn, but I remember absolutely loving it, so I'm very excited about this.
And I used to play cribbage with my grandmother, and when she was still with us, and those are some fond memories that I have as well. So
I think lots of Canadians have very fond memories of playing cribbage.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about this special gift. Thank you very much, Walter.
Yeah, it really hit home. Maybe more than you would have known. So thank you. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we are going to do a round of super chats. Hopefully I can get through them all, and then we can get to the content, but we will just see how it goes. But if I don't get through them all by 10 o'clock, then we're going to pause. And then we are going to show you the first clip that we have. And then after that, I will continue to see if there's anything else in terms of super chats. And then by the next, I think it's 10:30, we will have the next clip, and then 11, and then 11:30, and then off we go.
Yep, so we're going to break it up. Now, all of these clips that we'll be showing you this evening are part of larger interviews. We've taken about, I'd say, 5 to 8 minute clips of the interview, and we will be releasing the full interviews, like each has their own interview in the new year.
So let's get to the supers. Now, I already know that YouTube has missed some, so Tanya will hopefully jump in as usual and let me know. So Métis Viking member for 1 month with a member comment, renewed to support real non-biased news. Thank you guys for doing what you do. Happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you so
very
much for that. Alice Avonlea with a $5 super chat. Even though sick and not in chat soon, I throw a few memberships in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice. We hope you feel better.
Long-time supporter and long-time member. And there she is throwing in 5 gifted and Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very much for that. Quentin Begamery, good to see you with a $7 super chat. Funny to see the NDP Liberal Rats jump ship and turn on each other for scraps of power. Also, remember, kids, sometimes political jokes get elected. Yeah. Well, and this is the interesting thing. We actually saw this on X/Twitter. I still can't bring myself to call it X. So I guess Charlie Angus had a bit of a man period because he decided to post on, I guess, I don't know if it's the far left version of Twitter. I don't go there. It's Blue Sky Social. He posted in response to Peter Julian, who's the deputy leader of the NDP. Peter Julian, this is good news for everybody. Peter Julian posted that the NDP will be supporting the Conservative motion in committee for non-confidence. So that's a good thing. And then Charlie Angus, being Charlie Angus, said, "Oh, there comes a time when country comes before everything else, so I'm not going to be supporting that." And then I guess people started interpreting that as, oh, there's a revolt inside the NDP. Well, no, this is just Charlie Angus being Charlie Angus.
Well, and it's a good thing he's not the party whip. So,
Well,
I mean, he can say what he wants, but I have a feeling something like that is going to be a third line whip, and it's not up to Angus.
Well, and I'm starting to wonder if Charlie Angus is the one that Jagmeet Singh has been listening to all this time, because I'm sorry, I don't respect him as a politician. I don't respect his choices, and I don't respect how he conducts himself, which translates into everything that's wrong with the NDP right now. So maybe that's the problem. Anyhow, so that's good news that it sounds like the NDP are going to be following through with Jagmeet's letter. So there you go. There's some early New Year's good news.
And we have a $100 super chat from Bonsai Boy.
Wow.
Thank you very much. It says, thank you for bringing us the truth of what is really going on in Ottawa. That said, my donation to NP Nation was taken from my January LCBO budget, which is all of it. We both win.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. Well, if
Thank you so
that's
much.
your New Year's resolution, we wish you good luck. And thank you very much.
We're glad we can help keep you dry, I guess. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And we have Rob Barkhouse, member for 12 months. Thank you so much for sticking around, Rob. Thank you for the year of awesome content and information. Here's to another year and many more of holding the government to account. You got it. You got it. We are... We're not going anywhere. So, Gordon Meir with 5 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very, very much. Jerry Savoy, great to see you with 10 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you. And Lawrence Neal with a $10 super chat. I'm looking forward to seeing what Cypher and Fox have prepared for us this evening. I am also thrilled to once again spend time with NP Nation. Excellent.
Thank you. I think you guys are going to be very excited and maybe even surprised at some of the interview clips that we'll be showing. Like I said, there was a few folks who I saw got a few of them. I think a few of the folks we've interviewed have very distinct voices. So I think there's a few that you guys know already.
And
but
there was no chance of you ever getting. So.
Yeah.
But
again, it's such a privilege and an honor to work with these amazing people who are all working very hard for Canada to do something for our country.
Well, and I'll wait to talk about them until the preamble, until they come. Gordon Meir with 5 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. Again, thank you very much, Gordon. Jilly Beans, good to see you with a $5 super chat. Ding dong, Happy New Year. Everyone is screaming JT to GTFO. Will he? He better. I'm starting to lean towards, I think he's going to have to. I think he's going to have to. And because of the strategic moves by the Conservatives, he's now, the party's going to look terrible either way because they got ahead of this with this motion. So if Trudeau prorogues and resigns, it's going to look like he's doing it in response to this motion, whether that was going to be the case or not.
Well, then they shouldn't have campaigned so hard against Stephen Harper calling for prorogation when it was only 6 weeks into the new session. The problem is the Liberals told the public, oh, look at Stephen Harper calling prorogation to avoid a confidence motion. Technically the truth, but the part they didn't tell you was that they did it because it was only 6 weeks after the election, and it would have caused a constitutional crisis had the NDP bloc and Liberals gone through with that confidence motion, and then the NDP and Liberals formed a coalition government. So I think Stephen Harper made the right call to prorogue Parliament, but they didn't tell you that part, so they're making it bad. Making it sound bad that Harper called a prorogation to avoid a confidence vote, and now they're going to do the exact same thing. Just bad all around.
Newsflash, everyone: the Liberals are misleading the public. So, and Monica Mills with a $14 super sticker. It looks like a hippo giving us a thumbs up. Awesome.
That is exactly what it is. Thank you so much.
And Gibb Salisbury with a $2.79 super chat. Great to see you. Happy New Year's. Here's to election 2025. All the best. And we're already working on our election show. So we're doing it, many months in advance.
Or maybe it'll happen tomorrow. Who knows? Or not the election, but that it'll get called.
Yes.
It might not be months in advance.
Otherwise, our election show is just going to be like this. So anyhow, we're we're doing everything we can to not rely on mainstream media. And Landon McIntosh with a $7 super chat. Happy New Year's to you too. Two of the three best humans I know. Hopefully we all get our New Year's off with an election. It will make 2025 the year we flush Turd Boy. Absolutely. And this just goes to show to all of the... There's a lot of people out there that have been trying to scare the bejesus out of everybody by saying Trudeau's going to hold on to power. He's going to delay an election. He's going to be there for life. I hope everybody can see how much disinformation that has been coming from people out there. You can't stop an election in Canada unless Parliament burns to the ground. That's the only thing that we've learned in this country.
Yeah, that's the only time it has happened in our country's history.
And it's Parliament burns to the ground, and there's a world war going on. So
at the same time.
Yeah, but World War II was going on, and we had an election just fine. Two of them, actually. So, and Jacori, 1977, with a $279 super chat. Happy New Year's, and to you and everybody in NP Nation. Thank you very much. SK with a $2 super chat. Charlie Angus is Canada's gene-spliced AOC Sanders. That's a very good way to put that. So, Paul Barnett with a $5 super chat. Happy New Year, Ryan, Tanya, and your son, and your son, and to all my NP family. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Just me, Nicole. Great to see you with the $5 super chat. Happy New Year, everybody. My 2025 bring us an election in the May 2025 bring us an election in the early months. I believe it will. There's no chance. Yeah. There's no chance this is going to October, folks.
No, like I keep saying, even Nick Nano said it's not going to October, and he not only is he really plugged into the political scene because it's literally his job, but like Nano's polling tends to lean a little bit liberal. So if you're kind of tilting towards the left and you're saying it, I think that's somebody we should probably believe.
Yeah, and I think the latest it'll be is June. And the earliest it'll be is March. So that's going to be how it goes. If Trudeau doesn't prorogue, then it's probably going to be in March.
Yeah.
Which also means, folks, we verified this. If the election's in March, that means Parliament is dissolved in late January. That means Jagmeet doesn't get his pension.
It depends. They have to dissolve Parliament on or after February 25th. That's not the election. That's the dissolution of Parliament. And what did I say, on or after?
Well,
in order for Jagmeet to get his pension.
Right, or after, yes. Yeah. To get his pension, yeah. So if Parliament is dissolved prior to February 25th, Jagmeet does not get his pension.
Unless he wins his seat again.
Unless he wins his seat. So, and if he wins his seat, fair and square. Like, we all have to just be fair and square to Jagmeet. If he's somehow able to win his seat, we may not understand the voters, voting in the riding. But if he's able to win his seat, then it's
the will of the people, right?
And he's going to have another 4 years, so it is what it is. But if he doesn't win his seat, we all get to laugh. Brandon Christopher with a $4 super sticker. Thank you very much for that. And we have Paladin Phil, Speaker of Tales, member for 12 months. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Me and my friends, independently of each other, have subscribed to your channel. Keep up there. And it's awesome. Funny. We've actually kind of come across weird scenarios like that. I've had ex-coworkers that started watching the channel before we came out and didn't know that it was me on the channel, and they were just gobsmacked when it happened.
Yeah, It was hilarious. The day that we dropped the puppets, you got 2 messages from former coworkers that are like, I've been listening to you for months and I had no idea.
2 different coworkers, 2 different former companies, and they didn't know each other. So, anyway, Luca, if you're still watching, keep it real. Leslie Robbins, member for 10 months. Thank you, NP Nation, for your hard work, and Moz for supporting the chat. Wishing you a happy new year. Let's get that petition signed. Absolutely.
Yes, please. Our petition is number E5289, and it is not for a non-confidence vote. It's to encourage the Prime Minister to dissolve Parliament.
Well, it's to demand that he does.
Yeah, not encourage. Demand that, over 57,000 Canadians want you to dissolve Parliament so that we can choose our own government.
And even if you don't think it's going to do anything, folks, it literally takes 30 seconds. And if Trudeau doesn't prorogue Parliament and the Conservatives put their motion through, this is the perfect, and I mean perfect, piece of paper to go along with that report, that committee report that gets presented to the House. Like, it is, you couldn't have lined that up any better. So
now we've been seeing some comments that only a non-confidence vote is going to dissolve Parliament. That's not true. This is another way of doing it. It's not a very common way. Typically, the government does not vote itself down, but that's exactly what we're requesting of the government, that you're doing such a horrible job, and these are all the different ways that you're failing Canadians, that you need to do the right thing and dissolve Parliament and allow Canadians to pick their own government. So voting non-confidence in the government is the way for the opposition to bring down the government, but the government can also bring itself down, and we're trying to put pressure on Justin Trudeau and the Liberals to do that.
remember, he did the exact same thing for the Winnipeg lab scandal.
Yeah, in 2021, this is exactly what happened, is that the government had so much pressure put on itself from this Winnipeg lab
They
scandal
called a snap election.
that they dissolved their own government.
Yep.
So we're hoping to try that again.
Okay, so SK with a 5. Oh, before I go any further, just want to pause and just make sure that we properly thank our moderators. Barnaby, who has been with us literally since the beginning, he recorded the first series of discussions, so we actually had some content to post in our first couple of weeks of Northern Perspective, and he had his own puppet, for those that may or may not remember.
It had one of those plague doctor masks. It was pretty cool.
Those videos didn't get many, like, I don't think they got 10 views. So if you were one of the 10, cheers for suffering through that. I know Barnaby's probably laughing to himself right now. His puppet was the plague doctor. It was kind of funny. But he's been with us the whole time since our first live stream in June of 2023. And then Jester has been around with the iron fist, making sure that
there's no swearing in chat.
Yeah, and,
right.
And William as well, who's the recent mod. So thank you very much to them. It allows us to focus on the show rather than focusing on the chat. So it
really keeps the chat a very friendly place for everybody.
100%.
We've run into the one that's most in my mind is Sia. We ran into her in Woodstock, and she kept telling us, I'm almost 11, and I'm going to be the prime minister. And it's just so wonderful to see kids who are excited about politics.
Well, and it's good to see that they're watching shows like ours where they can learn about it, because they're not learning this stuff in school.
No, they're not teaching them this kind of stuff at all.
So Sia's probably going to be going into high school, into some sort of civics class, and she'll be able to teach the class.
I was going to say, yeah, she'll be at the front.
Not that we're that awesome. It's just that the amount of information that we're giving versus the classroom, which should be giving 10 times the amount we're giving, is just staggering. So anyhow, thank you very much to Jester, William, and Barnaby for that. SK with a $5 super chat. Listen, you guys are great and all, but I watch NP for Ryan's mesmerizing goatee. That's why everybody subscribes.
Okay, true story. When we went to Ottawa back at the end of May, beginning of June, I was just getting some things ready, and I turned around. Ryan had come out of the bathroom, and he shaved it. And I was like, what did you do?
I chopped off the rat is what happened.
But we were behind the puppets at that time, so nobody knew except me. And I told him he's not allowed to do it again.
Well, and it was it was to go kind of incognito in Ottawa, so because didn't want anyone to possibly recognize what I might look like. Because if anyone saw the avatars, they're looking for someone in a goatee, so I shaved it off. So thinking. Then Tanya understood, and I said it will grow back by the end of the weekend,
and it did.
So. Anyhow, finishing that, you guys are simply the best, and I'm glad I found you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Adam LeBlanc with a $28 super chat. Hi there. Just thought I would say thank you both for what you do. Been watching you from the beginning. Wow. Thank you so much to those of you. I remember those are the first video where we covered question period, and I think we were getting hundreds of subscribers just off of that video, and I was like, holy crap, I guess this is where the channel's going. and I was just watching it just tick up and tick up, and I couldn't believe it. Tanya couldn't believe it. Like, again, this was supposed to take a year, and it took a month. So,
and I think YouTube may have missed one from Beaver Grease. It says Merry Christmas and Happy New
Beaver
Year's.
Grease, that's amazing.
Like and subscribe, folks. Ryan and Tanya are there for us, so let's be there for them. Much love from BC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And check your subscription status, folks. YouTube is doing, it seems like they're doing a cleanup, and it often removes accounts that shouldn't be removed because we're looking for bots. So just check your subscription status, make sure you're there. And we're at 3,841 concurrent viewers and 2,158 likes. So all those likes brought in a whole bunch of more viewers. So let's get more likes out there. It allows YouTube to suggest it to more and more people. Peter Whitten with a $2 super chat. Witty Whitten is in the house with Reapa Cheap. Awesome. And Danielle T with a 279 super chat. Happy New Year. Build it and they will come. Ain't that the truth?
That's right.
And Meadowlark
Music
with a $5 super chat. Thank you for telling the truth and for fighting for Canadians. And thank you for supporting us. It really means a lot. Pam Lambert, member for 12 months. I have watched you from the beginning, but only member for a year. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Pam.
I remember seeing you around, Pam. I really do. And Brandon Christopher.
Yes.
With a $5 super chat. Thanks to both of you for creating such a great place to learn. Watch. Here's to 200,000 subs by mid next year. Can't wait to see what's next. I used to think it was impossible, but I've given up thinking that's impossible. So anyway, YouTube brought me down. Holy crap. All right. David Clark with a $7 super chat. Thank you very much. Terry M with a $5 super chat. Hope you had a great Christmas. Love and best wishes in 2025.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a very nice, quiet Christmas at home, and then we went and had dinner with my parents, which was awesome. So
yeah, our son got 99.99% of all the presents as usual. So
Christmas is for kids, right?
Yeah, 100%. So
and he loves just tearing things open. We were just like wrapping up random things at one point. And thank you. Actually, we should say shout out to our temporary mod Echo, who sometimes comes on because he helped us wrap some of the presents.
He shaved an hour off of our wrapping
times. Yeah. Again, we were just wrapping everything, like every little box and every t-shirt, and just he loves to unwrap stuff. So
David Clark with a $7 super chat. Big shout out to my son-in-law sitting next to me watching your show. Awesome. Junior Clark, thanks for supporting. And Whitehill Projects, with a $5 super chat. Please put a keychain in with my hoodie order. Happy New Year. What if I could?
Unfortunately, we can't. So
we don't have access to them.
Yeah, the merch orders, the apparel orders are processed by a company out of Oakville, and these were shipped directly to me by Tracy. So you're gonna have to catch us in public.
They don't even allow us to go and pick stuff up from there.
No, they don't from the facility. So unfortunately, we can't add anything to the orders.
Randy Plett with a $5 super chat. Keep it up. Awesome. Thank you very much. Grim Graybeard, member for 4 months. Election?
Maybe.
It's coming. Like it is coming. It is less than a year away. Could be less than 6 months away. We'll see what happens.
It could be less than 2 months away.
Unlikely, but yes, it could be.
Well, maybe not the election, but like the dissolution of Parliament could be less than 2 months away.
100%. D. Mercier with a $7 279 super chat. Thank you for all you do to educate Canadians. Thank you for showing up. Thank you. North 49 RC with a $2 super chat. Happy New Year, and to you as well. Rick Hepner, Mr. Hepner, with 5 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very, very much for that. Steve Gray with a $5 super chat. Ryan, I'm just curious, why can Erskine have a podcast, but you had to make a choice? That's the $1 million question. And I hope to have that answered someday. So, what I can say is that he doesn't get paid for it. That's about all I can say. Is if you have a podcast and you're public,
and you're an MP or a senator.
MP, you cannot monetize it. So
because it's like a breach of parliamentary privilege. This is one of the things that we had learned when Ryan was considering running for nomination in an adjacent riding, is that if he was successful and was elected as MP, we would have to shut down Northern Perspective.
Or at least significantly alter it.
Yeah, it would be very, very different from what it is today, because it would violate the parliamentary privilege of the other MPs to report on it in the way that we do.
Yeah. So, and Carrie Hamill, welcome back to NP Supporter. Thank you very much. Fred Law with 10 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very, very much for that.
Thank
Jerry
you.
Savoy with a $5 super chat. This time of year, supposed to quiet liberal keep exploding. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Aussie O with a $7 super chat. Sign the petition.
Yes, please do. I've
instructions.
pinned the link at the top of the chat there. If you're watching this after the fact, it will be in the description.
And Glenn Sturt with a $2 super chat. Thank you for your stand. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
And Krista M, thank you for correcting the pronunciation with a $2.79 super chat. The G in Charlie Angus is silent. Thank you very much. Didn't know that, but that makes a lot more sense now. So,
oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
And Diane Sylvain with a $100 super chat. Thank you so much, Diane, longtime supporter of the channel. Happy New Year, NP Nation. What a difference a year makes. 2025 will be amazing. We will be winning. Love you both. Do you think Trudeau will listen to his friend Gerald Butts telling him to resign? Will Trudeau run in the leadership convention if there is one? LOL.
I'm going to dig in my heels right now and say, based on the information I have at this moment, I don't think Trudeau is going to resign.
I hope he doesn't. And I hope we get to see the absolute obliteration of Trudeau and the Liberal Party, because it serves them right for removing the ability to actually get rid of their the leader of their party. It serves them all right. And but something tells me that he's going to go and resign. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is 10 o'clock. So we are proud and very excited to bring you our first clip. Now, this is a clip from an interview that we have been wanting to do for over a year, and circumstances just didn't allow it to happen. Now, this interview is a special one to us because it is with our very own Member of Parliament. And our Member of Parliament, as you may recall, is the member for Flamborough-Glanbrook, Dan Muse. And Dan is he's just a sweetheart of a guy.
He's phenomenal. Anytime we need something or if we have a question, he's always there for us. Every time we're like, hey, we're going to be going to Ottawa like tomorrow. Can you get us on the list?
Yeah.
And he does it. And all his staff are just phenomenal. So shout out to Simon, Neil, and Rick. You guys are awesome. Just this interview was such a pleasure and such an honor. And
the biggest compliment I can give Dan is one that I used to give vendors when I used to order things. So when you deal with vendors for a company, they have many clients, right? They're constantly dealing with emails from people asking them to do things. And one of the biggest compliments I can give, and there was one gentleman, Tyler, who used to work for a company, Soft Choice, and Jordan, I believe he still works there, is you make me feel like I'm your only customer because they're that responsive. Dan makes us feel like we're his only constituent. So that's the biggest compliment I can give.
And if you're in Paris, Ontario, or I think St. George is another area that the riding will be expanding to in the next election, you guys are going to be in great hands. So I know it might be sad that you're losing Larry Brock as your MP, but you're going to be getting Dan, and he is amazing.
So without further ado, and it was it? Yeah, that's what I thought. So without further ado, here's a snippet from our chat with MP Dan Muse. So in order for there to even be a pure poly of government, there needs to be an election. And as we all know, elections don't win themselves. And even though the Conservatives are doing well in the polls, as Pierre says, we haven't won any seats in the next election yet. So Canadians are always asking us, what can we do? How do I help? How do I get involved? So to the average Canadian, what can they do to help a common sense Conservative government get elected?
That's a great question. 2025 is the year of change, and with that change comes hope. But it requires people to get involved. Politics is not a spectator sport. There's many ways that people get involved. That's what I did throughout my career in the private sector before I ran for elected office. Check out the Conservative Party website, conservative.ca, and you can go under team and you can get a link to every existing MP, or Google the name of the Conservative candidate in your riding, or Google the riding name with the word Conservative, and you'll find the landing page for that EDA. Contact those people. I mean, there's putting up signs. We're going to have a huge, I can tell you already from the doors we've knocked on, there's a huge demand for signs because people are ready for change. And so, that doesn't require a lot of heavy lifting with a hammer and maybe for the large signs, but the small signs people can put up, frankly, driving around in their car with so during the actual election, that's one thing people can do. Obviously, knocking on doors, we're already doing that. So all the candidates and all the current MPs are already knocking on doors to connect with constituents. And, we're driven by what we see Pierre Poilievre does. He's been out knocking on doors in target ridings across the country, and he's not going to stop, and we're not going to stop because, we need to get our message directly to people. So there's always candidates going out knocking on doors. If you're not into knocking on doors, there's phone calls to make. And if you're not into phone calls, at every campaign office, there's lots of different tasks to do. There's no shortage of things to do, and it's all campaigns are powered by volunteers. These are not paid operations like maybe they are in the United States and other places. But I was a volunteer for 40 some odd years in the party, and it's every campaign that's powered by volunteers. So jump in, contact the person. I mean, when I get a request from a potential new volunteer, I reach out, and sometimes we grab a coffee, we have a chat, find out what that person's interested in, and plug them into the organization. Most candidates and MPs now have a campaign manager, so you can sort of connect with those people and their campaign teams. But it's not a spectator sport. We can't expect change to happen on its own, and we know that. Look at the Liberals are going to throw everything at us. The NDP are going to throw everything at us. We're running ahead at the moment, but we can't take that for granted. We know and we've seen, and that's why we get out and talk to people one by one, door by door, street by street. That's how we're going to win ridings. And in order to form a strong majority government to make the change that needs to happen, we need to win some ridings that, frankly, we're going to win or lose by a few hundred votes. And so that effort is going to make all the difference in the world. And we know, particularly in the GTHA and in the suburban areas around the major cities in Canada, that sometimes those ridings sway by very slim margins, and a 1 or 2% shift in the polls can make all the difference. So when you've got the good ground game, that's going to make a difference. And we saw that with St. Paul's. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was in St. Paul's, and other people on our team were in St. Paul's, knocking on doors, and you saw that momentum. I vividly recall the Saturday before election day, which was by-election day, which was the Monday. Walking down the street, we were knocking on another round of knocking on doors, people that maybe weren't home the first time around, and wearing a Pierre Poilievre t-shirt, and cars were pulling over to the side of the street and saying, "Hey, we're with you," and that feeling of momentum. So you could sense, but there was a really strong ground game in St. Paul's, and we know that despite that long ballot, it was those advance polls that put us over the top. Well, that requires a lot of work. So even in terms of the actual election itself, it starts on day one with knocking on doors, but people can start voting right away. And so getting supporters, ballots in the box, getting those advance polls, working those advance polls, that can really make a difference in those close ridings, as it did in St. Paul's. But we saw the same in Oxford and in Durham and in other by-elections across the country. Of course, Cloverdale, Langley City last week, which was a great I mean, huge margin, but they worked it. They didn't take anything for granted. Pierre Poilievre was the very first person from caucus out knocking on doors in St. Paul's. He was there a few times, way back in the spring before the election was in sight, and so that's an inspiration for us to continue to work hard. And because when you're talking to someone at the door, you hear their real concerns. You hear from what people are actually dealing with, and when the polls are very clear, cost of living is an issue, it's because when you knock on doors and talk to people, that's what they're concerned about.
Yeah, you're not getting like your information filtered through an echo chamber like you might online in a chat room or on social media. Like, it's raw. It's you're face to face with these people, and that's what they're telling you.
Yeah.
Well, and there is some people that say, well, I haven't had anybody knock on my door. Well, that is just evidence that your EDA needs help. It needs help, volunteers. If the average member of parliament or candidate needs roughly 100 volunteers for an election, that's over 34,000 people that are needed across this country to help these candidates get elected. So just think about that for a second, everyone. 34,000 people. That's a lot of people. And
that's the size of a small town.
And there's member of parliament for our riding, our current riding, Flamborough-Glanbrook, Dan Muse. He is the assistant shadow minister for transport. So he is a supporter of the shadow cabinet, and he's going to be integral to the party, because let's face it, transport in Canada, that's a big file. It's a huge file for Canada.
It's a huge country.
Absolutely. So, and Dan's been in the political scene for a number of years, but in a supporting role. So he just took over as the candidate and then MP in the last election, and he is looking to repeat that. Now, when the next election comes, we will actually be in a brand new riding. Or not a
it's not a new riding.
It's new riding to us.
Yeah, it's new for us, and we haven't moved. It's just that the boundaries changed. You may have remembered us saying that back in April, that there was a riding boundary change across the whole country. Some ridings were affected and some were not. The one that we're currently in was affected. So the Flamborough-Glanbrook riding line moved about a block from where we are, and now we're going to be in the riding of Hamilton East, Stony Creek. We're hoping that our new MP will be Ned Curick, who is the Conservative candidate, so fingers crossed. But I believe the candidate is currently NDP in that riding.
No, it's I think it's Chad Collins.
Oh, you're right.
You're
right. It's Chad
Mr.
Collins.
It's Mr. Oh, I'm rebelling, Chad Collins. When my seat is in jeopardy. So that's who Ned Curick is going to be running against, and Ned has knocked on over 40,000 doors.
And they're doing like their second lap. They actually came to the house maybe about a month ago, and we were really excited to see the folks knocking on the door. And they were just excited to see us, and we had a great conversation.
They're like, oh, this is where Northern Perspective lives. It was great. It was a great. Anyway, let's get back to where I left off. Here we go. So, hopefully everybody enjoyed that, and you'll be able to see the rest of that interview in the coming weeks when it drops. Slim Chance with a $20 super chat. 3 types of people in this world: those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those who wonder what the hell happened. Where does Jagmeet fit in? Maybe 2 and 3.
Yeah, I'd say a combination of 2 and 3. I don't really think he's that much of a go-getter, which is interesting because I learned today that I guess due to some family issues, he had helped raise his younger brother. And that doesn't seem like a very passive thing for a person to do. So I don't understand how he seemed to be this go-getter when he was younger. Like, take charge. I've got to take care of my brother. I've got to take care of my family. I have to take care of... Well, I guess he was quite successful as a lawyer, was he not? And now, as a politician... he's not really doing so well.
He's lost. Well, and allegedly he's a nice guy, but some nice guys are not leaders, and that's a problem, right? He doesn't seem to be leading his party. His party, maybe it's Charlie Angus, seems to be leading him, right? And that might be the issue.
The issue is the party has no strategy.
Well, that's the other problem. David Clark with a $7 super chat. Love the show. Please give a shout out to my son-in-law, John Morrison. It's his 40th birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, John Morrison. And make sure you're nice to David Clark. So.
And we have a $50 super sticker from Get Real Chick. Thank you very much. It's a video game controller punching and kicking in between the words super effective.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
And Antoinette R with a $7 super chat. That BC skill lady is our ski hill lady is my hero. We heard something about it, but we were
preoccupied putting together the show.
Well, and with the CRA stuff going on and the conservative motion coming on, we were just occupied with other things. So, but we heard something happen on the
ski slopes.
Yeah, and to your question, Jim Trapp with a $2 super chat. Did you guys see skier woman in BC? Hilarious. No, we actually haven't seen that yet. So, Peter Whitten with a $2 super chat. I cannot wait until you take over the CBC HQ. No, we're going to turn that into a bunch of housing.
I was going to say, we'll be cheaper and we'll do it better.
Mm-hmm. And for no government money. So, Jarser with a $10 super chat. Remember that scene in Spartacus when the Romans want the slaves to give them up and all they say is, I'm Spartacus. In a way, that's the Liberals right now. Whoever leads them now, they're all Trudeau. You're right, because that's the problem. They let him turn the identity of the party into the party of Trudeau. So...
And we actually talked a bit about that with our interview with Vesper. That was, about a month ago? Yep. So if you haven't checked out that interview, make sure you do.
Lynn Holly with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Watching since July, and we love how you explain things. Thanks so much. Well, thank you. And that's your first super on the live stream. Thank you.
And we have a $50 super chat from Al Pipke. It says, thank you for all you do.
Thank you
it's
very,
our pleasure.
very much.
Thank you for your support.
And Nicholas... Solaris with a $10 super chat. 2025 will be a big year. My wife and I are expecting our firstborn in April.
Oh, yay.
Now followed by an election. Awesome.
That's so exciting. My gosh. Our son's an April baby too.
What a great year to have your first son.
That's so exciting.
In a year of hope. That's awesome.
Well, and it's always just so exciting when either you're pregnant or you know somebody who's pregnant, because you just can't wait to meet that little person, right? That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Here's to a healthy baby. So, and Rick Hepner with a $2 super chat. A meme idea, the lady from the ski hill. We'll
I don't know if that's copyright material. Like, we can get away with it with the MPs because it's Parview footage. But I don't know if we could get away with something else.
It technically belongs to somebody else, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, and
we also have Karen Whitelock with a $50 super chat. Thank you very much. It says, message number 1, my husky is a prepper. He could live outside with all the treats he has hidden. And number 2, a toast to all we have lost this year. My mom, my hip, my brother, and a good friend. Cheers.
And part of my meniscus. And Randy V. Randy!
Have you been hanging out with Randy?
With a $5 super chat. Can't wait to play YMCA and do the Trump dance once again when Pierre finally wins the election. Red wave in 2024. Huge blue wave in 2025.
It's going to be epic.
And Cal Bro with a $10 super chat. I heard from Donald Trump that if Jagmeet wins his seat, it was fixed. All the best in the new year to you and your family and everybody in NP Nation. Yes.
Thank you.
I wouldn't
know
take Donald Trump's word for it.
I wouldn't say it's fixed because sometimes the people who answer the surveys are not the people who go vote. Yeah.
Donald Trump keeps saying we're the 51st state. So
why aren't they the 14th province,
right?
Or the 11th province plus 2 territories?
Well, and the funny thing is the Canadian media is like going bananas over these Trump tweets, and he's just trolling them even harder because he knows they're going to do that. Hello, like, we don't focus on the Trump tweets because we know he's joking. Everybody else should know he's joking.
He's like top tier troll for sure.
And Mr. Roscoe Pico member for 13 months. 13 months of thank you all. Thank you very much for that. Jilly Beans with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Barnaby, Jester, and William.
Thank you. Yes, thank you to our mods. Thank
Jerry
you.
Savoy with a $2 super chat. Keep hitting the like. Almost missing 2,000 likes, please. Well,
if we close the gap a bit.
Well, Yeah, we have actually. We're about 900 behind. So
Awesome.
Barnaby, get on it. And Cindy Van Beek, welcome to NP Supporter. Thank you. John D'Souza with a $5 super chat. Hi, Ryan. It was nice meeting you at Emily Brown's Christmas party. It's John D'Souza. FYI, we met briefly before I had to leave. Excellent.
Awesome. I'm so jealous that Ryan got to go and I didn't because I was ill.
Thank you so much for coming up and saying hello. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, and as well as the other people that came up. Heartsinger with a $5 super chat. Happy New Year. My birthday is January 19th. Okay, let's go. So appreciate you both so much. Can't wait to see you as a parliamentary press killer. We'll see. And Van Shank guitar.
Yes.
With a $2 super chat. Signed. Awesome. Thank you very much for signing the petition.
And thank you very much to Milady Loves Cats with a $100 super chat.
Wow.
It says, evening, Happy New Year, everyone. First, wishing all great health, then love, light, and prosperity. 2025 should be good. Like Ryan says, buckle up. Thank you for all you did in 2024. It was a bumpy ride for you two, but you came out on top. You are the best.
Thank you so much for that. Another long-time supporter.
Thank you.
JS with a $10 super sticker. It is a Pokemon on acid. I don't know.
No, it's a lemon character doing a victory dance with maracas in his hand.
I'll
How
take
did
it.
you get Pokemon on acid?
Looks like Pokemon on acid. But that's great. Anyway, Sean, member for 3 months. Once election is done, please make sure to keep pressure on sending fraudsters and foreign collaborators to prison. Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the Conservatives' promises is to reveal the names of the 11 parliamentarians. So that is going to be our report card for what we're expecting when the Conservatives take power. So we will be chasing all of the Conservative promises. You can believe that. Listen, Chains member for 5 months. I'm really hoping for an election ASAP. We need a strong leader to deal with Trump and avoid those tariffs. Thank you for all you do. Happy New Year. We do. We absolutely do. And it's going to be a bit of a dumpster fire until we actually get this sorted out. But one way or another, I'm quite confident we are. And Kayo 89 with a $2 super chat. Ryan, are you planning to find a new job or YouTube for life? I'm constantly looking for another job. That's what I'm doing. And
YouTube's not really a career, I don't think. I think it's too volatile.
Well, and that's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen, right? In a month, in 6 months, in a year. So it doesn't mean we're going to stop doing Northern Perspective, but I need to make sure that I have something that's reliable, right? So risk management, that's what I do in my job, so that's what I do at home. Filthy McNasty with a $5 super chat. Curious, I have YouTube Premium, hence no inserted commercials. Are you being pursued by any sponsors? Cheers from sunny Florida. Thank you very much for that.
We have had some in the past, but
they didn't align with our
values. Yeah. I mean, if we're going to sponsor, or if we're going to accept a sponsor, it's got to be something that we believe in, because as a sponsor, you're going to various channels or influencers, if you want to use that word, and you're essentially buying their trust from their audience. So it's got to be something we believe in. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, and it means a lot to us, because just as it took us a while to get our merch out,
yeah,
we wanted to make sure it was something that was reliable, that we were confident, that we were proud to be selling to all of you.
That it was good quality, that it was made in Canada. That's the most important part for us, is that all of the printing and embroidery is done in Canada, in Oakville.
Right.
Yeah.
We're working on something for the website that I can't wait. Hopefully it comes to fruition. And one of our major requirements is we wanted it to be a Canadian company, because we wanted to keep the money in Canada. So, for any sponsors, we want to make sure A, they're Canadian, and B, it's a brand that really mirrors our values. And it's something that we would feel comfortable recommending. So, long-winded answer, I know, but these things mean a lot. Yeah. It means a lot. Scott Willie with a 279 super chat. Thank you very much. Andrew Lepenzi, yes, for the 222 super chat. I think it's time for 3 things to happen. Okay.
We'll see where the continuation of that is.
Murray Perrin with a $5 super chat. Happy New Year, NP Nation. 2025 will be a time to celebrate. Thanks for all you do. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Spiky Mikey 33, the $10 super chat. Petition signed. Happy New Year, Cypher Fox, your son Pixel, and my NP family. Your mods are the best too. Oh, and Happy New Year, and Randy's out there too.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
He might not be out there for much longer. He might be in the slammer soon. We'll see what happens in Edmonton. Whitehall Project member for 10 months. Loved your channel since the beginning. I would have been a member the whole time, but I kept getting free memberships. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. And Jerry Savoy with a member for 15 months, 3,500 likes, and 10 more membership. Oh, there you go.
All right. And Jerry's always good on his words, so please hit that like button, folks.
So we're 433 behind, so we're not too far away. Ken Flanders with a $5 super chat, sending Loche from Mr. Wasis First Nation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. 80 Canadian with a 279 super chat. You guys are always my first source of news. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for trusting us.
Kel Rome with a $10 super chat. Happy New Year, NP family. My mom and I agreed over the Christmas break this is the best channel for Canadian politics. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work and dedication, Ryan and Tanya. Here's to 2025. Cheers.
Thank you.
Tyler Hill with a $5 super chat. With all you guys have done, you should be one of Pierre's first Senate appointments. I wouldn't mind working next to Senator Husakos. He's cool.
Yeah, he's going to be there for a while too, right? He's not retiring soon?
No, he's going to be there for a while.
Hey, I would move to Ottawa so you could be a senator.
Yeah, why not?
I would. You know, I've got family in Ottawa, and I always love going there.
And we would have NP Nation over every day. So. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well, Tyler. Leo Orchard with a $5 super chat. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thanks for everything. Very, very, very appreciative. Thank you. And Justin Galinsky with a $5 super chat. Thank you for the NP sweater. Been supporting you guys religiously from the beginning. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to both of you and you and all of NP Nation.
And I saw that I think it was Get Real Chick had donated 10 Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
And also that Will Kalachuk donated 40 memberships when we hit 3,000 likes. So thank you very much for that, Will.
Jesus,
that's awesome.
Will. Thank you so much. Another longtime supporter. Thank you. Deb Ritter with a $7 super chat. Thank you. And Get Real Chick with a $5 super chat. If Trudeau was a Star Trek character, he would be a Klingon because he is clinging on to his position as PM. He seems more like a Ferengi to me, but
oh man, you're
maybe if a Klingon and a Ferengi had a kid, it would be Justin Trudeau. That's probably what he is. So.
You're so nerdy.
Craig on the Prairie with a $10 super chat. Happy New Year, NP Nation. Wishing all the best to the best. Ryan and Tanya, I cannot thank you enough. Your bravery and integrity are a light in these dark times. You give me hope for truth. God bless. Thank you so much. Very, very much appreciated. More than you guys probably know.
You guys keep us going, because if it wasn't for you guys, we would have nobody to talk to. Like, there would be no purpose in any of this. And I think it's just amazing how we're all able to kind of come together and learn and take action, like civil action against our government, and be like, you can't do this anymore. We're going to sign a petition. We're going to write letters. We're going to vote. We're going to volunteer with our EDAs and encourage everybody around us to vote. The people can take back our government, and we can do it peacefully, and we can do it non-violently.
Gord Worsta, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you. And Barry Westholm dropping 20 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you so much. Rob Robillard gifting 5 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. See, I have it down now, Rob. Thank you very much for that. Carl Pierce with a $5 super chat. If Turd and Company was a Star Trek character, he'd be a Ferengi. See, Carl and I are on the same page here.
Because they're kind of like the weasels, right?
Yeah, like...
I guess my appearance at committee's not going very well today.
Full stop, greedy and corrupt. We'll do anything to get your Latinum buyers beware. Carl and I, we're on the same wavelength here. Graydon F with a $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well. James Games with a $2 super chat. Hoping for a PP versus Trudeau election. I know.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all hoping for.
Please show me the debate with those two. And Jagmeet. Come on. I want to see that debate. Adam LeBlanc, welcome to NP Supporter Plus. Thank you so much. And Let's see. Go to this. I want to make sure I'm getting the person's name right.
Also, thank you to Gordon Meir with 20 gifted memberships. Thank you so much.
And Etruscan with a $14 super chat. Happy New Year to NP and NP Nation. All the best for the new year, sooner rather than later. And that brings us to 10:30, folks. This is our second clip that we're going to be showing you. And many of you guessed this or these guests correctly. So the special guests that we have are Franco Terrazzano and Chris Sims from the Canadian Taxpayer Federation. Nothing but respect for those two and all the rest of the team over at the CTF. They're a nonpartisan organization. They are our watchdogs as Canadian taxpayers, holding any government to account, and they will continue to do so when the Conservatives take power. So, without further ado, let's take a look at our clip from the CTF with Franco Terrazzano and Chris Sims.
The Hill is just an enormous vacuum suck of taxpayers' money. And it's not even just like I said, the really shiny things. It's these dumb, boring administrative things. I wish we had a Doge up here in Canada. I wish we had a Department of Government Efficiency with the spirit of Elon Musk that can go through these departments and find these savings, because it really needs to happen.
They should just hire the CTF to come in and do it for them.
Oh, no need to spend tax dollars. Yeah. I mean, look, the homework is all out there, right? Like every year we do like a 75-page budget submission. The homework is there. Copy off the notes, right?
Yeah. Go. Feel free to copy the homework, and it would be easy. But anyhow, we are going into I think historic election year for Canada. An election's going to happen. You can even believe Jagmeet. That's probably the one thing that I will believe him on, is an election will happen in 2025. Whether it happens at the end of February, early March, or if we do go to October, which I don't believe we're going to, it's going to be transformational, I think, for this government, because Canadians, to your point, Franco, I think they've had enough. I think they've seen the effect of what wasteful spending and no financial control on our tax dollars has had on Canada, because they're seeing it themselves. And there needs to be some new controls put in. I completely agree with you, Chris, that we need a Department of Government Efficiency. Ironically, you're going to be bloating the government bureaucracy by adding that, but I think it's absolutely necessary. From what we've seen from the procurement system, it needs to be torn down to the studs, all the processes thrown out and rebuilt from the ground up. And it's not going to be a short process. That's the other challenging thing.
Yeah, and when the Conservative government gets in, it's not going to be instantly fixed. Like, it's going to take time. Do you guys have any idea of how long it's going to take before Canadians can see some results, or at least some relief?
Yeah, even just the carbon tax, Franco. So let's say day one, to do this as fast as possible, Poilievre issues an order in council that reduces the carbon tax rate to 0% until they can repeal it. How long will that take to actually hit Canadians' wallets?
Not long at all. And I say that from experience, because when I was the Alberta director before Chris, I mentioned Kenny was the premier in Alberta, and he scrapped the carbon tax with Bill 1. And it took like a couple weeks for it to actually get through, right? Like, in life and also in government and politics, where there is a will, there is a way. And if you really want to get something done, you can. Kenny proved it in Alberta with the carbon tax in particular is what I'm talking about, right? Now, in terms of timeline, actually, the longer it goes, the worse it's going to be for a potential Poilievre government in a couple ways. Number one, the longer it takes for him to cut spending and cut these taxes, the more airtime he's going to give to the big government activists who don't want Poilievre to cut spending or to balance the budget. So really, he has to do it right away. But the second thing that could happen is that once you give these other activists or the media more airtime, there's going to be more tension within his own caucus to stop those cuts, right? Like, that will happen, especially if he has a super majority in the House of Commons. But the big thing to remember here is like when a politician or the government says, you know, we will balance the budget, but it's going to take us like 4 years. Well, when you hear that, just think to yourself, when was the last time you actually went on a diet when you're like, yeah, I'll start in a month, right? Like, yeah,
It's now, bro.
Yeah,
Now.
it's now. It has to happen for all those political reasons, economic reasons, and just life reasons. It has to happen immediately.
So if I had my top three that I want, if Pierre Poilievre becomes prime minister, before lunch, on first day, I would like him to scrap the carbon tax, defund the CBC and all media, because journalists should never be paid by the government, and cancel the gun grab. So if he can get all that done before lunch, before he starts eating his apple at noon, that would be great. And to Franco's point, you can move pretty darn fast. Just like how quickly they move when they're getting themselves a raise or they're trying to declare it to be Friday. So a funny thing, if you're ever watching the House of Commons and politicians want to play hooky and leave early, it'll be like a Wednesday or something. They'll just get the speaker to declare it to now be Friday, and poof, it's instantly Friday and they all get to leave. The government can move quickly when it wants to, and Poilievre has been on record several times saying that these big things are going to be dealt with right away, and he has to keep that promise. I think he will.
So
that was a phenomenal interview. We always have a lot of fun with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. It's such a dry subject matter sometimes, but Franco and Chris always just bring this energy and this charm to it. I always walk away learning something about our government when I'm speaking with them. They also have their own YouTube channel. So if you search Canadian Taxpayers Federation here on YouTube, their channel will pop up. Make sure you check them out because they do phenomenal work.
And they appear in committee often, bringing their research, bringing their analysis. And they do a great service to the Canadian taxpayer in ensuring that our government spending is held to account. So huge props to the Canadian Taxpayer Federation and Franco Terrazzano and Chris Sims and all of the rest of the team, because it's not just them. It's they have a director for every province and they have a whole big team behind them. So so shout out to them, absolutely. And yeah, there's it was a lengthy discussion, but I think it's a very interesting discussion.
Time always flies when we're talking to Franco and Chris. Like it's always so much fun. Again, it feels like it's going to be like such serious matters that we're going to talk about, but they just bring like this sense of wonder to it almost. Like you leave the conversation going, wow, I really learned something about how our government works. So make sure you check out their YouTube channel.
Anyway, at 11 o'clock, because we're already through to 11 o'clock is our former Conservative MP, so that'll be a good one to see. Emily Croteau with a $5 super chat. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year greetings from BC, Canada. Excellent. We have a large following out in BC. Thank you very much for that. Brian Letwinuk, good to see you with a $5 super chat. When you visit Parliament, do you get nasty looks from the NDP and Liberal members? They must know who you are.
I'm not sure.
Well, it's interesting because
we were introduced to Mark Garretson like one-on-one. It was kind of
he either didn't let it on. Well, that was before we came out.
Oh yeah, I suppose it was.
So, but when one of the Conservatives let me into committee, that was the Standing Committee for Public Accounts, when I heard Nathaniel Erskine Smith drop an F-bomb as soon as I got in there. I was wearing a red Northern Perspective shirt, and I was asked by both the Conservative and his staff, do up your
coat.
Your coat.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be accused of trying to antagonize the Liberals. And I was asking the staffer, I'm like, so like, do they know who we are? And they're like, well, I don't think they actively watch, but they know who you are. Like, oh.
Yeah, and just to clarify, Ryan wasn't like let into committee because
It wasn't secret or
no.
anything like that.
The committee meetings are open to the public as
Yeah.
long as they're not in camera. They are open to the public.
But you have to be signed in and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
and normally you would request from your MP, hey, I'm going to Ottawa. I want to sit in on such and such committee on Wednesday. Can you hook me up? Type thing.
Yeah, you can't just like waltz in because you have to go through security and all this stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
and they usually prefer that you're on the list that your MP has put.
But
you
it
on
was
the list.
interesting when they were saying, they like, I don't think the MPs actively watch you, but they know who you are. Their staff probably watch you. And I was like, oh, interesting. Which makes sense by some of the comments that we get.
A lot of them are younger. So
Yeah, so.
the staff, I mean.
Well, and they're probably watching to see what these far-right rage farms are saying about them, allegedly. So
I want to say thank you to Jen Core for a $2 super chat. Love this forum. Thank you for educating me. XOXO.
excellent.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
And we're at 370 likes, 130 for another membership drop from Jerry Savoy. Nipissing Islander, welcome back to NP Supported. Thank you very much. Bliss and Chains with a 279 super chat. Ski Hill Lady used unparliamentary language. I believe it. Wasn't on the floor of Parliament. And Maisie T with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Thanks for all your encouragement. I love your real wood tabletop. Keep up the great work. God bless and happy 2025.
Oh, thank you. That's exciting. I absolutely love this tabletop. My dad and I made it together. It's solid cherry and it's got a live edge. And I like when people come in studio to record interviews because we usually put the camera actually out in the hallway so then you can actually see the live edge of the table. This table's like my pride and joy.
Problem is I want to finish the basement so we can have a bigger studio, but I don't have any time. That's the problem. So
Well, and also it's going to be a nightmare to drag this table down to the studio,
yeah,
to the hypothetical studio in the basement that may
not
or may
looking
not get
forward to
built.
that.
Yeah.
Take out the window and
Well, we'll probably have to detach the legs, to be perfectly honest.
I'm not looking forward to that. Drone Delirium with a $5 super chat. Love your show. Wish I could give more to help. Trudeau has to go. It boggles my mind and makes me so angry everything he gets away with. Well, he's not getting away with this. So that's something to look forward to. And Adam LeBlanc with a $5 super chat. Everyone hit those like buttons. There you go. We're only 79 away now. Jay Yates, welcome to NP Supporter. Thank you very much. Jane Core with a $2 super chat. Love this. Oh, yeah. So Tony already got that one. SK with a $2 super chat. Ryan, I'm looking for a director of IT. Infosec. Send us an email. I'll send you the resume. Thank you very much for letting me know. Arctic Fox 87. You have to be okay with somebody running a YouTube channel. Arctic Fox 87 with a $20 super chat. Happy New Year. Love your channel. Love from Vancouver, BC. You guys have the best coverage on Canadian politics. Thank you so much. Theorica with a $20 super chat. Wanted to tell you how NP managed to make change for the better. Some I know are totally engulfed in U.S. politics, oblivious to our own. Because of your work, you managed to break their apathy. Thank you.
That's awesome. Because you know what? Apathy is the death of democracy. When you get people who go, my vote doesn't matter, or
signing this petition does nothing.
All parties are the same, etc., etc. We've all heard these things. It's complete voter apathy, and that's where democracy dies.
Well, and these are all the mechanisms that allow you to have a voice. And when people say, well, petitions don't work, this doesn't work.
You know what? Our petition might not work. We don't know, but we've got to try it, right? If we don't try it, then it won't work. But if we do try it, maybe it will.
Think of it this way. 1 million people probably will say that it won't work. Imagine if those 1 million people signed the darn petition. Imagine what that would look like. That would do something. That might even make the news. Like the real news.
The mainstream news.
So just think about that, right? And this is how, right? This is how governments don't get elected as well. Because people think, well, it's just my vote. It won't matter.
Or, my writing's going to be blue anyways. I was going to vote for the Conservatives, but I'm not going to because it's going to be blue anyways. Don't take that for granted. Absolutely get out and vote. Your vote matters.
Remember what Dan Muse said earlier. He said there's going to be some ridings where we need to win, and we're only going to win them by around 400 votes. Your vote matters. Your voice matters. Take advantage of it. Signing the petition takes 30 seconds. That's all it takes.
It's low risk. I mean, what do? You spend maybe 2 minutes of your life signing the petition, and then you have to verify from the email that the House of Commons sends you. That might take a total of, let's say, 10 minutes if the email's running really slow. But in all honesty, it'll take less than 2 minutes, and maybe it does something, maybe it doesn't, but it has a chance to do something. Doing nothing has zero chance of doing anything.
And here's the thing. Northern Perspective is not mentioned on this petition at all.
No, it's not.
I just want to make sure everyone
Ryan's
understands
name.
that.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the important factor in this. The important factor is what's in the petition.
We were just excited that we could provide a platform where hopefully it would reach many, many people, because we know that there's a lot of Canadians out there who want an election. We want an election too. And we were hoping that if we were able to create a petition that put pressure on the government to dissolve itself, that hopefully we could spread the word to many, many people. And you guys, we're going to need your help spreading the word to everybody else, because not everybody watches Northern Perspective. Not everybody knows about this petition.
And you don't even need to get them on to Northern Perspective. Just get them to sign the petition. That's the goal here. And I know we're beating the dead horse, but and we're preaching to the choir, but we're really passionate about this, and we want this to gain as many signatures as possible. Engage with your democracy. People always ask us, what can you do to help? This is what you can do to help.
Even just talking to the people around you, not necessarily about the petition, but about anything that is furthering our democracy, because it might be something that the person you're talking to didn't know.
Think of everybody, and think of yourself. Like we've received many messages and many emails from people that said, I used to be afraid to talk about politics before because I didn't know anything, and now I feel like I can hold my own, and that's awesome to hear.
That's what we love hearing, is that people have learned something about our politics, about Canadian politics here on Northern Perspective.
So, Pitch Black with a $2 super chat. How long have you been unemployed? Myself, 14 months. I've been unemployed since June of 2024. So almost 6 months.
No, has it been 6?
Almost.
Yeah, since it was mid-June. If you go back in our history, and you'll see
June 17th.
a very clear delineation from when we used puppets and then when we didn't use puppets
You'll
anymore. That was the point. Yeah.
And Bubble Avenue with a $14 super chat. Cheers to a very happy 2025 NP Nation. Shout out to my buddy Jay, who puts up with my constant yammering about politics, even though he has zero interest. Help me make him a believer. Let's go, Jay. Hopefully you're watching. And Ingrid Stewart with a $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Let me go back to Jay. Jay, do you want this to be a better country for yourself? Do you want this to be a better country for your family? Do you want this to be a better country for your friends? You don't have to get into politics to the point to be a political junkie. But you should know what's going on. You should know who your MP is. You should know who the major leaders of the parties are. And you should understand what their platforms are. And you should understand that the Liberals used to be a center-left party, and now they are a far-left party. That's why everything has gone so badly for Canada.
Well, I think the thing about politics that I didn't know before starting Northern Perspective is it's not just like politics. There's different areas of it. I think we here on the channel do a lot of procedural stuff. Like I'm a procedural nerd. That's why I bought a green book. I just find it so fascinating. Like, how do they do things? Why do they do things? What's the norm? What's deviating from the norm, et cetera, et cetera. And then also I think something that we started doing was getting involved in our EDA. And that I absolutely love. You get to talk to people who you know you have something in common with. And you're all working together towards a common goal. And yeah. I mean, you and I are kind of couch potatoes. We're very shy, I think. And before this, we never went anywhere. We never did anything. We just stayed at home and watched movies or played games. And it gets you out and it gets you interacting with other people.
When we try to practice what we preach, right? We tell everybody to get involved. That's why we're taking pictures with people out there to show that we're getting out there. We're doing door knocking. We're going to events. We're helping support to transform this country. And all of you can do that as well. And that's what we're encouraging. So Jay, if you want to make this country a better country, get up and get involved. It starts with signing a petition, going to a meeting, starting to talk with some like-minded people, making some friends, and helping the country in the process. You can't say no to that. James Halliday with a $5 super chat. Hey, all, happy election new year. Yeehaw!
I have a I have a super chat from Michelle Bells. It says, Happy New Year all. Love my zip hoodie in white. I get lots of compliments. Awesome. You know, I don't have a white one yet. My mom has a white one and it looks phenomenal. So I'm gonna have to get a white one.
Thumperdew with a $14 super chat. Thank you very much. Gil White with a $7 super chat. Remember the Kingsman movie with all the exploding heads? Stay tuned for 2025 and keep an eye on Liberals for the fireworks. Keep an eye on Northern Perspective because we have something special during the election night. So hopefully
We're working on it.
Diane Sylvain with a $5 super chat. We need somebody to go clean up the swamp with the CRA. Oh, hold on. I'll give you both of them.
What the hell is going on?
What the hell is going on?
And I'll give you the other one.
What the hell are they thinking over there?
I'm going to give you all of them. Colleen Hall, member for 4 months. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you for your wonderful channel. Thank you very much. And JMP at home, member for 3 months. Love your work. Also, could we sign a petition on reanimating your background again? Re-democratic, so how many votes will it take?
Just one to point it out to us. I don't think either of us realized that it's frozen.
Well, in the meantime, I'm going to show you the polls. There's the polls. So 338 Canada for you. Hopefully everybody's still hearing us, so that would be nice.
It says sure mics from Notepad, so I think that means everybody can hear us. I hope that means everybody can hear us because I don't have my sign. Alrighty. RIT guys trying to fix the background.
I think this kind of crashed, so that's okay. We're trying to do this so this looks semi-professional, folks.
You should have just thrown up the next clip.
What do you mean, thrown up the next clip?
The next interview clip.
Well, I guess I could have done that. Well, we're going to do that shortly anyway. So... Nope, I don't want that one. Don't want that at all.
Close it.
That sounds creepy.
It does sound creepy. I told you that when we were testing.
All right, so let's do this. This is what I want. Okay. So I'm glad somebody pointed that out. Because we're not normally looking behind us, so.
There we go. When it's fun when it flashes up the background, which is like this AI thing of like a night in a graveyard or something. So we're not usually looking behind us when that happens.
All right. So there you go. See, your super chat, your contribution can make something happen. So, all right. Let's go back to where I left off, because that was a very, very helpful super chat. So thank you very, very much with that JMP at home. Real Democratic likes, so how many votes will it take? Well, apparently none. So
just one person had pointed out to us.
JH with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Can we discuss CBDCs? And if Trudeau could slide this in like the CRA trying to slide in the capital gain tax. CBDCs.
Sorry, central bank digital currency.
No, that has to be passed by legislation. So.
And I'm pretty sure the Conservatives said that they're not going to do that, right?
I believe so. So digital currency, zero chance. And there's also zero chance the online censorship bill C-63 can get in. Like anything that is in the Senate right now is I'm not going to say it's a pipe dream that it gets passed, but it's
unlikely.
Becoming more and more unlikely with each passing day. So just take heart, everybody. PSX Pirate 1 with a $5 super chat. I'm exhausted. I can't take any more. I can't afford Trudeau's vision, whatever that means to him, living on the edge of affordability in my country. Yeah, I hear you. The good news is the damage is about to be, the bleeding is going to be stopped soon. And There's going to be some immediate relief that we've heard that reducing the carbon tax will be able to bring, as per Franco and Chris from the Canadian Taxpayer Federation. And there's a lot of different other avenues that that the Conservatives are going to be looking at changing to put some more money back into people's pockets. And let me rephrase that, to take less money out of our pockets.
Well, it's going to be both, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be both. That I think they need to decrease the size of the civil service, number one, or the public service, I should say. And by doing that, it's going to cost the taxpayers less for the services that we use. I mean, why do we have more people in the CRA than we do in the military?
Well, that's the question, right? That's a big question.
Yeah.
So, and Dan Demand 966, member for 12 months. Thank you so much. Happy New Year, NP Nation 2025. Let's bring on election, Ryan, Tanya. You guys are my favorite, are my number one channel on YouTube. Happy New Year to all. Thank you so much. Well, Kalchuk with a $5 super chat. I think I speak for all NP Nation when I say you are the best, and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bliss and Change with a 279 super chat. I want to record that quote unquote debate for posterity. Right? If they do have that debate, we're going to be dissecting the crap out of that. So, and Eugene
Bombeko.
Bombeko with a $14 super chat. You guys give hope to this country. Let's go 2025, right? Now it's like we're sprinting to the end. And let me just verify this before I say it. M&M Plastic, M&M with a $5 super chat. Canada needs to think beyond the 51st state. Time to have an overhaul of our political systems and new constitution to reduce the power on the Prime Minister. Well, there's a lot of things that needs to be done to our system, I think. One of them is to allow for the removal of a Prime Minister or a government. I think it should be law that political parties must have a apparatus to remove their leader. I think that's one. I don't think they should have a choice in that.
Yeah, and it has to be whenever. It can't just be after a disastrous electoral event, which is, I think, what the Liberals have in place right now.
Right. So there needs to be something. Well,
because the Conservatives have a secret ballot, and I believe that they had removed. Was it Scheer via that method? No, Scheer stepped down. It was O'Toole, I think.
Yeah. He was removed by that.
Yeah.
So, and that was a good thing, right? That was a good thing. When you have an ineffective leader that has lost the trust, then there needs to be a way to remove them. So, Blue Star Alice with a $10 super chat. Thank you very, very much for that. And Bliss and Chains with a $2.79 super chat. Omnibus bills for the win, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, do you want to talk a bit about what an omnibus bill is?
You may have to pipe in. I only have rudimentary knowledge of an omnibus bill. It's essentially like a bill that covers a lot of different things.
It's a bill affecting many bills.
Yeah.
Is basically what it is.
So it might be like, we're going to remove line XYZ from the criminal code. We're going to add something here instead. And then looking at our transport, we're going to add this in there and take that away and blah, blah, blah.
So it's probably going to be a big bill that says we're going to repeal the carbon tax. We're going to repeal Bill C-11. We're going to repeal C-18. We're going to change all the bail rules back. We're going to remove all of the restrictions on our energy. Like, it's probably going to deal with a lot of that stuff. That's just a guess. We don't know that's going to happen. But what we do know is that the Conservatives are not going to be sitting idle. They want to have a massive impact very, very quickly because that's what they've promised. So, McLean
Betteridge.
Betteridge with a $5 super chat. If a non-confidence happens during committee January 7th and Trudeau prorogues, after that, does the non-confidence outweigh the prorogue? No, it does not. It wouldn't even make it to the House of Commons. But when after Parliament comes back from the prorogation, there must be what's called a throne speech, where whoever is the leader of the Liberal Party at that point, who becomes the Prime Minister or is still the Prime Minister, they give a speech to lay out their vision. That goes to debate, and then that is voted on. And if that vote fails, then the government falls. That is a confidence vote. So either way, Trudeau has a confidence vote coming.
I just want to clarify a bit. If the non-confidence vote happens, not just that the motion's tabled, but that the vote actually happens and that the vote is successful in bringing down the government cannot then prorogue.
Correct.
If they go to committee on January 7th and table a motion of non-confidence, but don't have the opportunity to actually vote on it, then they can prorogue government after that, but it looks really bad.
Well, and here's the Coles notes of what the Conservatives are trying to do. So they're trying to introduce a motion of basically a non-confidence from committee. So that's January 7th, that gets voted on, and then committee will vote on that whenever debate is done. And then that goes to Parliament on January 27th when they come back.
So back up just a bit. What happens is they will table a motion in committee and vote whether or not to send it to the House.
Correct.
It's not the actual non-confidence vote. They're just voting, okay, we have this motion here in our hands. Do we send it to the House? Yes or no?
Right. They're not doing the non-confidence voting committee because
that happens in the House.
Right. So that would go to the House, and we've talked a little bit about concurring in committee reports. This is kind of what would happen. So you'd have a report from committee that is a motion of non-confidence, and then that would then be voted on whether
when the
to
House comes
accept that,
back.
right? Whether to accept that when the House comes back, and then there's an opportunity to actually do
vote
something
on the motion itself.
Right.
So there's a few votes that would happen before the motion is actually voted on. Yes or no, does the government fall?
So Trudeau's choices are these. He can either take destiny into his own hands and call an election and avoid less embarrassment, or let it happen and be voted down and watch his government fall, which is embarrassing, or prorogue and do one of many things there. He's either the leader or he's not when he comes back, and the government will still fall. One way or the other, this government is falling, and there is nothing they can do about it. So take heart in that. Peter Witten with a $5 super chat. My stepson and I got a great tour of the Hill this past August thanks to a Muskoka MP, Scott Aitchison. Awesome. Ottawa is a great place to be.
That's awesome. That's really cool that Mr. Aitchison took you around. That's awesome.
And we are now at 11 o'clock. So, 11 o'clock. That's number 3, right?
Yes.
So, the former Conservative MP, many of you will probably say, of course, but the former Conservative MP is somebody that we've had on the show before. His name is David Sweet. He is the former Member of Parliament for our current riding, Flamborough-Glanbrook, and
our former neighbor as well.
Our former neighbor, and
we can say that now that we're not puppets anymore.
We actually blame him for all of this, because I don't know if we would be as involved in politics if we hadn't moved in by fate, by chance, because he was waiting for a house to be built and it was late, and so he didn't actually get to move into there, so they had to rent somewhere waiting for it to be built. So they
rented the place next door.
Now, the only reason that was up for rent is because that owner, he wasn't able to move into his house, so he was forced to rent it, which he intended on moving in, but he wasn't able to, and I think that was because of COVID, because he couldn't get back, so he was forced to rent it. So that ended up going to David Sweet, who moved in next door, and then we had just moved in, and the rest is history. And now we count him as one of our good friends. Him and his wife and the rest of his family, they're phenomenal people. He is the former chair of the ethics committee, and just a very wise individual. He's been through hell and back in his life. You can look up some of his trials on Wikipedia if you're interested. He's had tragedy in his life, but is a phenomenal human being, and we respect him with everything we have. So without further ado, David Sweet. Trust in the government as an institution. They don't believe the government is out to help them. They believe the government is only there to enrich the people that are in government. There's no accountability for anyone in government if they do anything wrong. Why should Canadians believe that that is going to change when a Conservative government takes over?
Well, I think he's going to have to rebuild that confidence. I think if he continues to do what he does right now, one of the things I like about Pierre is he travels the country. He meets with ordinary Canadians on a regular basis. He is patient enough to hear their story. And of course, you know that because he relays many personal stories when he talks about issues in the House. But I think the other aspect is he's going to have to deliver on the promises that he made, and he's going to have to do it as fast as he possibly can. And he's already mentioned, and wisely so, that, you know, the cupboard is bare. The Liberals have driven up the debt and deficit to such a degree that, you know, special programs aren't going to be the number one on his roster. But I think if he delivers on those things that he's been talking about in every speech, if he deals with the carbon tax immediately, if he removes the funding from the mainstream media immediately, I think those are two things that, you know, that will bring a lot of confidence to people once he starts to actually deliver on his promises. And you know, the other aspect too is to defund the CBC. I don't, you know, there are mechanisms that he can use, you know, prior to legislation that can deal with these things pretty quickly. And you know, if he does that, and I'm certain the next step that he will probably take is something that Jim Flaherty did when we were trying to deal with deficits and debt, and that is to, you know, start a deficit reduction strategy throughout every department in the government, and ask ministers to be accountable for every dime that's being spent, and to unearth programs that are unproductive and spending that's unproductive. I think if he starts to do those kinds of things, and look, there'll be critics on the left who'll go crazy and say he's, you know, he's cutting too deep, too fast. But you want to make sure that for our young people that this debt and deficit is reined in, because just the debt service on this massive debt that we have is, you know, would pay for all of healthcare across the country.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like $1 billion a week, which is a brand new hospital somewhere in this country every single week.
Well, and the other thing is too, is, you know, you look at your home situation, right? So I think all of us have probably been in a situation where, you know, something unexpected financially happens and you have to say, okay, all right, we need to make some changes. Are you going to say, well, you know, we'll cut Disney Plus the first month, and then we'll cut Netflix the second month, and then we'll cut, you know, our trip to Jamaica the third month? Or are you going to say, all right, immediately, all of these extras, they're all out now? That's probably what you're going to do. To your point, do you continue to spend to an egregious amount and only gradually cut? Or do you rip off the Band-Aid and say, listen, we're going to be trying to minimize the damage to Canadian taxpayers as much as possible, as soon as possible, so this is what we're going to do? That's what I think he has to do. And I think the sooner he does that, the more support from the public he's going to have as well. If he waits, there's going to be more and more criticism, to your point, from people on the left, from the unions, all of that. But if he really, really dives into that as soon as possible, and he just continues his strong communication plan that this is part of the mandate, he will get through it and he will be successful, I think.
I agree. I think, and by the way, all of these initiatives I mentioned, and I'm certain he has, I think Pierre's probably stayed up night after night after night saying, like, you know, what are the first 3 months going to look like? You know, not only will this regain confidence in Canadian citizens, the average person, right? But you got to remember, the markets are a big thing. People, you know, right now who aren't investing because of carbon taxes, because of caps on production in the oil sands in Alberta, you know, those kinds of things. All of that is going to come back. People are going to see Canada as a place to invest again, a principled, fiscally responsible government. means that markets will have a renewed confidence as well. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. Well, there might be an uptick right away when the government changes, but it'll be minimal and it'll be short-lived. But within 2 to 3 years, with good fiscal restraint, this is what we saw when we were in a global recession. Canada was the first one to come out of the global recession because of the fiscal restraint that happened during that 18 months. And the only money that was being spent was on hard assets, infrastructure that was going to last for generations, so that those people who were going to deal with the expense later were people that were also going to benefit from the infrastructure investment. So, if he does those kind of things wisely, it's going to be the damage that's been done by Justin Trudeau is going to be long lasting. But I think we'll have a recovery that will be surprising even to some economists.
And the other huge part of the mistrust in government is lack of accountability and lack of transparency. Even though we've had a lot of information come out regarding the SDTC scandal, the ArriveCan scandal, Randy Boissonneau, and the list goes on and on and on. We still don't have the full picture of any of these, and we still don't have an idea of potentially if there are any cabinet ministers that are tied to any of these and who they are. Do you think it's important, even when the government turns over, for the Conservatives to push to finish those investigations as fast as possible? And you'll have to watch the interview to get the answer from that. So, but can't say enough good things about David Sweet. He is so knowledgeable. He's plugged in, and
he's been kind of a mentor to us, not just for Northern Perspective, but when
life.
you were exploring, the possibility of running in HWAD and also again in life. We always joke that David and his wife Almet are like our other parents, like our other family. They're just such wonderful, amazing people. We do miss them very much. They moved from Hamilton, all the way out to New Brunswick, and we were able to see them last summer. They own a resort out in Tabasintac.
It's an RV resort.
Yeah, it's a campground and RV resort. So if you're looking for a beautiful place to go camping, absolutely check it out. It's called Ocean River RV Resort.
So David and his amazing wife Almet, if you're watching, cheers to you, because without you guys, I don't think we
wouldn't be sitting here right now. That's for sure.
So Almet loves to chastise Dave about that, but it's all in good fun. So anyway, it's great having him available, not necessarily on speed dial because he's still really, really busy, but it's great to have conversations with him about everything going on. And in that interview, we talk about Freeland resigning. We talk about what is going on behind closed doors. So it's a fascinating interview. So check it out when that drops.
Yep. So it should be in the next few weeks.
Carl Lemmer with a $7 super chat. Nice to see you guys. Merry Christmas. And
Thank you.
It's good to see you, Carl.
No, it's Xmas, like they say in Futurama.
Yeah, Xmas. I'm 008, member for 6 months. Happy New Year, Ryan, Tanya, Barnaby, Jester, William, and everyone at NP Nation. Special thanks to the generosity shown here for the rest of us. Absolutely. There's an immense amount of generosity from everybody. Thank you so much. Daniel Legault with a $2.79 super chat. Thank you. And C. Wallace... Aviation with a $10 super chat. I have been unemployed since April. Yeah, I can't keep up with my bills. I want to get into construction, but the job market is dead. 34 years old and still living with parents. And unfortunately, that is a very common story. So
we're very sorry to hear that.
Keep it up, Mr. Wallace. And the good news is that this isn't happening at the beginning of Justin Trudeau's reign. It's happening near the end. So
change is coming. Change is coming. And it's going to take all of us to affect that change.
Peter Witten with a $2 super chat. Run for your local town council. Pierre told me to. Oh, there you go. I've been thinking about something, so we'll see. Trish Prohl, member for 13 months. Happy New Year, Ryan, Tanya, Mods, and MP Nation. I love the show, all that you do in this community. My weekly highlights and our Friday nights. Clyde Do Something is the one who introduced me to Northern Perspective, and Sunday nights. Awesome. Trish, you're like furniture, like some of the other people around. It's great to have you. Great to see you. Thanks for sticking around. Christine May with a $5 super chat. Not only am I able to hold my own, I have hope and an interest for economics. Thank you for everything. Happy New Year's to the both of you and to MP Nation. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Jim V, member for 14 months. Hey, Ryan, what video card did you get? So for those of you that are members, and there's 145 new members, holy moly, ended up getting a Boxing Day video card investment from Northern Perspective to help with edit times. And what we ended up getting was an RTX GeForce 480 Super video card by Zotac Gaming. So that will be Greek to most of you. Essentially what it does is, so a video card is what processes everything that you see on the screen of a computer. And it takes a lot of the load off of the rest of the system, because graphics are so advanced now. So they are crucial when you're editing, because what happens is you lay out your video and you have all your clips and your titles and your effects and all of that. And then what happens is when you, what's called rendering it, you're taking that file and everything, and it is actually compressing it, rendering it, and generating an actual video file. And that rendering process happens primarily within the video card. Now, the previous video card that I was using, it was okay, but it wasn't great for rendering. And this other brand made by, they're called NVIDIA, it's night and day. It's like between 50% and 75% faster to actually render a video now, which means less waiting time, which means less unparliamentary language from me. And
it's true.
It's really going to help us prepare for the election as well, because there's a lot of things that we're going to be doing, hopefully, for the election night show that I'm going to need it for.
Well, not just that, but we run 5 different monitors off of one computer in order to run the show,
5 big
including
monitors.
the one behind us. So that's why it's important to have a very good graphics card. We have Jer Savoy gifting 10 Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very much.
True to his word.
And also Adam LeBlanc gifting another 10. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And Hammy Hamster, member for 8 months. Happy New Year. Here's hoping we get an election ASAP. Thanks to you and NP Nation. We all play our roles in getting our country back. Thanks to all. You were right on that. And Korashina with a $20 super chat. My grandson Ari and I watch you all the time. We can't get enough of you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got to catch up on a few that YouTube decided to miss. We have BD as a new member. Welcome to MP Supporter. Thank you so much. And we also have Milady Loves Cats gifting 20 Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you so much for that. And we have a $50 super chat from A. Fife. It says, after Christmas, my living room looks like a trucker convoy. My boys love trucks, fire trucks, construction machines. To all the blue collar people who work these machines, my boys think you're great. The truckers won and the libs know it. God bless you. Thank you so much. I think our son is just starting to get into trucks. What he really enjoyed, and I think it's because it made music, was he really likes puzzles, and we got him one of those like wooden puzzle model things. It's shaped like a carousel, so it spins and it makes music, and that he's really, really enjoyed. I think
it's really fragile. That's the downside.
Yeah, so we have to supervise him, but he really enjoyed it. We also have Jim V, member supporter for 14 months. It says, we already got that one about the video card. Yep. Okay, perfect. And I think we're caught up.
Okay, and Mervyn Reist, welcome to MP Supporter. Thank you very much. Jackery 1977 with a $14 super chat. Introduced my son to you guys. We have had so many wonderful late night conversations about your content. Awesome.
That's awesome. I love hearing that the next generation is getting interested in politics.
Thank you for all you do. He's a faithful viewer now as well. Amazing.
That's awesome.
And Dana Wick with a $10 super chat. I don't think I can write my MP. He might be going to jail. It's Randy.
Have you been hanging out with Randy?
Well, he can be a pen pal in prison, I guess.
Emotional damage.
That's right.
And the Conservatives haven't updated my riding for their candidate. Happy New Year. Well, they will
They
be
might.
shortly.
If you get involved in your EDA, you may be able to vote for the person that is running for nomination. So
Dana,
that may be
maybe you
something
can
you're
run.
interested in. Yeah.
Maybe you can run, Dana. Kaylee Valley with a €5, I believe. Super chat. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, NP, for taking the con out of confusing and helping to bind us together. Love when you pull out the green book. Tanya loves it when we pull out the green book.
I do love it. I look for every excuse I can to use that book. It is kind of a pain to search. I've mentioned before. I bought both the digital copy and like the hard copy because I just like the feel of paper.
But it's
in my
government,
fingers.
so it sucks. So
yeah, so I use the digital copy to find what I'm looking for. It'll tell me the page, and then I go grab the green book.
James Halliday, member for 6 months. Okay, Liberals, off to jail with you. LOL, I support you when I can and love the show. Thank you so much, James. And Dana Wick, welcome back as a member for 10 months. Rosie Vanderleek, welcome back to NP supporter. Thank you. Pamela Leah, member for 9 months. Thank you very much. Brad Bounds with a $5 super chat. Have a happy new year. 2024 is agonizing. Yeah, we need something new. And Rabbi I'm butchering this. I'm sorry.
Nordhoff?
Rabbi Nordhoff. Sounds like you're from Iceland or one of the Nordic countries. Welcome to NP Supporter Plus. Thank you so much. I apologize for annihilating your name. Grim Greybeard with a $5 super chat. Trudeau's dad took a walk in the snow. Trudeau Jr. needs to take a long walk off a short talk. Yeah.
You will be destroyed!
Gordon Meir, member for 8 months. Canada needs recall and impeachment legislation. Agreed. Jilly Beans with a $5 super chat. CRA has more people because they're worried about getting their money from us and not worried about Canada being invaded. Yeah.
We have John Edmonds with a $100 super chat. Thank you very
Holy
much.
moly.
It says, didn't know you were door knocking. Wow, dedicated, stellar Canadian Conservatives. MP has made a huge difference in educating Canadians on politics and bringing the truth to light. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's honestly been Ryan doing the door knocking. I've been hanging out with our son because we're both in it. One of us kind of always needs to be with him. But we did get to meet Pierre this summer. You went door knocking as part of a group with Erica Alexander, who is
Hamilton,
Wentworth, and
Ancaster
Dundas.
Dundas.
We always call it
HWAD.
HWAD. Yeah, that's the acronym around here. But yeah, you actually did the door knocking, and I hung out with our son at the park, and then we all got to meet Pierre after. It was awesome.
And went door knocking with Connie Cody, phenomenal candidate out of Cambridge. She's looking to turn that blue and is doing a really good job there.
Mm-hmm.
We went with Ned Curick out in Stony Creek. Where else did we? Well, we went with our
Did
own
you go? As you say, you
Dan
went with
Muse.
Dan. Yep.
Yep. So we've been around and we're trying to support however we can in turning all of these
neighboring
these
ridings blue.
blue.
Because again, it's going to be the ground game that wins this election. People hear things on mainstream media like, oh, Pierre is just like Trump, or they're going to cut everything, etc.,
Or
etc.
I don't like that guy Pierre.
Yeah. So when you're actually talking to somebody one-on-one, you're able to have just that human conversation with them
and connect with them.
Yeah.
Paul Barnett with a $5 super chat. It's long past time to get rid of the dumpster fire government.
Yes, they
no
have
argument here.
Definitely expired.
And Monique Carrier with a member comp for 10 months. I've learned so much, Ryan and Tanya. Thank you. This year will be the best. Keep up the great work. I agree. Daniel Legault with a $2.79 super chat. Thank you very much. Jade Sperry with a member comp for 6 months. 2025 will be the year of transformation for our Canadian government, and it will be for the better. Great days are coming.
They sure are. And I'm getting this sense just from the community, because we read the comments and you know, when we're live, we read the chats and we get emails, and we're just getting this sense of hope.
Yeah, the energy levels coming up.
It's
so
positive.
Good on all of you.
And you know what? There are people out there that are trying to drag it back down. Like, oh, this is useless. Why would we do this? They're all the same, etc., etc. Don't let them. This is going to be our year. 2025 is when we're going to have this election. We're going to turn this around, and Canadians are going to be prosperous again.
Canadians have a choice. You can be a force for positive change, or you can try and prevent it from happening. And I think NP Nation is on the side of being for positive change.
Absolutely.
And those that are trying to prevent that from happening. Those are trying to dissuade you from happening, even down to why would you sign that petition? You have to ask yourself,
why wouldn't I?
Why
wouldn't I sign that petition? It takes 2 minutes out of my life. It may do something, it may not do something, but I'm not losing anything. I'm not doing, like, what am I going to do with that 2 minutes? Sit there flipping through Netflix? It's minimal.
You have to decide if you want that negativity in your life.
Yeah.
So, and Carl Lamoureux with a $2.79 super chat. Any ideas why the CRA is taking capital gains tax? So from what we've seen, they're using this practice that isn't official. They're basically looking at, the government is implementing a tax. We're just going to assume it's going to pass. And in my opinion, it's not a great practice, and they shouldn't be doing it because, again, no taxation without representation, as Tanya said, quoted from Senator Leo Housakos. Like, start collecting the taxes when it goes into law. If the government can't get it into law for 6 months after an announcement, it announces it. Whose fault is that? It's not the Canadians. That's the government. So it's a dog's breakfast is what it is, and hopefully the Conservatives can deal with that when they get in. CJR 902 with a $5 super chat. Omnibus bills should only be allowed for repealing legislation, not for passing it. Well, I get what you're saying. The catch is that the omnibus bill is a bill itself, but. Okay, so this is where I'm in agreement. If you're shoving a bunch of bills into one bill, yes, that could be problematic for passing all of those bills because they will not get the proper debate and committee time that they should probably get. So I think I'm now coming over to completely agreeing with you. Repealing makes sense because the bills that it's intended to repeal and take out in reverse, they've already been debated. They've already been through the House. So there's nothing to really talk about other than the effect of repealing them. So I think I'm going to agree with you there. Also, bills need to have a thesis statement abstract for clarity. Well, they have a summary. And then there's the narrative or the abstract, and then there's the whole text of the bill. So it does have something. The Bear Den
Photography
with a $10 super chat. Happy New Year, NP team and nation. For your election night planning, make sure to include the Hit the Road Jack song for Ray Charles to help send Trudeau and his cronies on the way. Unfortunately, we would get a copyright strike for that, but
or a claim at least.
We have another idea that I'm sure everybody would like. So, and Rebian Nordhoff with a $10 super chat. New member, love the channel. Can you cover what happens if the Liberal Party removes Trudeau and how an interim leader is PM? Well, here's the interesting thing. So if Freeland was still there and Trudeau stepped down, Freeland would be the default interim prime minister.
So that she couldn't, well, not that she couldn't, but typically they don't run for leader. Like the interim does not usually run for leader. What had happened in, I want to say it was the 90s with Kim Campbell, is she became the prime minister by default. And they wanted to like legitimize her prime ministership or whatever you want to call it. So they had an election and they lost. Yeah, and they lost catastrophically.
Yeah, oops. But because right now Justin Trudeau has no deputy prime minister, it would be strange for
him to step down.
So and per the Liberal Constitution, what they have to do is he has to announce he's stepping down, and then they will have a leadership race 28 days after that.
So there'd be nobody technically,
and he could appoint an interim leader. I'm sure they could do that, but. And then their leadership race is I believe 2 months, and then that takes you to this 3-month time period that all the political talking heads are talking about, because you have to afford the candidates an opportunity to try and present their platform to the party, and then that's voted on at a convention that they would have, and then the leadership is ratified, and poof, you have a new prime minister. That's the leader of the Liberal Party.
A thought occurs, though, that right now there's no deputy prime minister, but if something were to happen, say Trudeau became incapacitated in some way, there needs to be a chain of command for somebody to take over. Like, even if they're not a deputy prime minister, you would think it would be like, I don't know, the finance minister or minister of defense or somebody. Like, there's got to be a chain of command that we don't know what it is. Like, what happens if there's a meteor and it hits like half of Ottawa and, you know, half of the government is taken out?
So there is a chain of command.
Yeah.
This is why when Freeland stepped down, that fell to Francois Philippe Champagne.
And he said no.
And that fell to, Randy Boissonneau.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
For some strange reason, because he had stepped down, which is a little bizarre. And then it fell down to LeBlanc, who accepted the
role. Yeah.
LeBlanc, because the C is silent. So there is a chain of command. My guess is it would fall to LeBlanc. So in that case. So there you go. Rouse is with a $10 super chat. What time you got here? Just got home from a 6-hour drive to visit family units for Christmas. Hopefully you all have had a merry one too, and a happy new year starting a new job tomorrow too. So cheers.
Awesome. Congrats.
Excellent.
Congrats. That's awesome.
And
we have Gian Denby with a $20 super sticker. It says it's a pear character dancing under a rain of confetti and taking off his hat and saying, "You are amazing."
Okay, it's 11:30, folks. 11:30. So 11:30 means it's time for our next clip. I'm going to get chat up for this. So, some of you guessed correctly.
And then the Office of the MP had put out a teaser. So some of you may have seen that.
Yeah.
So some of you already know
so that was
who we're gonna say.
So that wasn't oops, but that's okay. But we've been
so excited for this interview. I can't even tell you.
We have been trying to get this individual on
since the summer, I think.
For a long time.
Since September. I think it was September.
I think I started making calls in the spring.
Possibly.
Like last spring.
But we actually got to meet him in September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to play the clip. It is our pleasure to welcome to the show Michael Barrett. Michael Barrett, welcome to Northern Perspective.
Hey, I'm so excited to be on your show. I'm an avid watcher, so this is exciting for me.
It's exciting for us too.
It's exciting that you're an avid watcher, so that's great. But one of the things that I saw when I was researching your profile for the show, and we talked a little bit about this off camera, but I'm sure many Canadians don't know, is that you used to serve in the Canadian Armed Forces. So thank you for your service, and maybe just give us 30 seconds of what you did.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm proud to have had the opportunity to serve in the Canadian Armed Forces. I was a non-commissioned member, a telecommunication lineman, served at CFB Edmonton, and it really gave me the perspective to know about the hard work, the selflessness that the men and women in our Canadian forces give to our country every day. It's very quiet work. We don't know as Canadians that this kind of goes on behind the scenes in communities right across our country. I was a member of the Reg Force, but we also have primary reservists, citizen soldiers in virtually every community across Canada. And so while I was a tradesperson, I worked along people in all sorts of different occupations in the military. It was the honor of a lifetime to be able to serve Canada, and I just think that it's the highest calling service in our Canadian forces, and I'm very grateful for everyone who has and continues to serve.
And we talk a lot on the show that I think veterans from armed forces and people currently serving in the armed forces, we do not talk about that enough in day-to-day Canadian culture, and we're working to try and change that. So let's get into this.
You served in the armed forces, but you're now serving as an MP, and I think one of the things that our community tells us, along with wanting an election, the thing that they want the most is accountability in our government. How is the Conservatives going to do that?
So I've had the opportunity to serve almost since the start of my term as an MP 6 years ago in an accountability role for the official opposition. And as Shadow Minister for Ethics and Accountable Government, I have been on different committees, as you mentioned, whether it's the Standing Committee on Access to Information Privacy and Ethics, or the Government Operations Committee, or Public Accounts, Justice and Human Rights. I mean, dealing with Randy Boissonneau lately, even on Indigenous and Northern Affairs. I kind of go where the accountability needs to be brought.
It's everywhere.
and after 9 years of Justin Trudeau, there's a real need for that accountability, and it's a really long list. We don't have time today to go through every single one of Justin Trudeau's scandals, which is actually really disappointing as a Canadian. Yes, I want an election just like, everyone who's watching your show. I think that, Canadians deserve a government, a new government, a common sense government for a number of reasons. But it's so disappointing to see that we have in Justin Trudeau's NDP Liberal government the least ethical and least accountable and least transparent government in the history of our country. And so we really need to we need to elect a Conservative government for the same reasons in some ways that we did in 2006. And the Accountability Act that was brought in under Conservative Prime Minister Stephen Harper set the framework for many of the ways that we've been able to expose the serial ethical lawbreaking of Justin Trudeau's Liberal government. And in 2006, the Conservative Party ran on a platform that included accountability as a major plank of that. And they set a bunch of accountability mechanisms. And I just want you to imagine Stephen Harper and his Conservative government opening up a bunch of bear traps and putting them on the ground and saying, don't step in these, because the past Liberal government, they didn't understand what ethics and accountability were. So now we're saying that if you step in these, we know that you've broken the rules. And so they telegraphed that to their own government and to all future governments. Now, Stephen Harper, of course, was never found to have broken Canada's ethics laws, but Justin Trudeau and his government, they stepped in every single one of those, bear traps that are, spray painted fluorescent orange. And Justin Trudeau broke Canada's ethics laws twice. He's been found guilty of that. So has his now public safety minister, Dominic LeBlanc. So has the trade minister, Mary Ng. So did the former finance minister, Bill Morneau. So did the Prime Minister's parliamentary secretary, now the Liberal Speaker, Greg Fergus. They all broke those laws that were put in place. So now we have the benefit of hindsight, just like Stephen Harper did in 2006. And Pierre Poilievre is looking at the kind of rules that would be necessary, the kind of framework that Canadians need, because in 2006, we looked back and said, well, these are the rules that could have been in place to prevent some of the ethical wrongdoing of the past Liberal government. Well, they broke all those rules, so now we need to put in new rules. And my private member's bill is one of the ways, one of those accountability mechanisms that Conservatives think are really important, and it has to deal with some of the problems, some of the bigger problems that we've seen, like people coming before committee and lying, people committing contempts before Parliament, people perjuring themselves when they're under oath. And they say, well, why aren't there any consequences for that? And well, we didn't need them before, because people came before Parliament largely and did the right and honorable thing. Now, there's a couple of exceptions in recent years. And in the early 2000s, you had the Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP and the former Privacy Commissioner, who both were found to have committed contempt. They were both found in contempt for having lied to committee. And now the examples seem to with the NDP Liberals. We're seeing it regularly, whether it's Christian Firth or the Liberal official from the Public Health Agency of Canada refusing to turn over Winnipeg lab documents. You've got Stephen Anderson. That's a question that's before the House right now in the other Randy scandal. It's becoming more and more frequent. And so this bill, quite simply, my private member's bill, it proposes common sense penalties. Fines of $50,000 for anyone who's found to have committed a contempt against a House of Parliament, and a mandatory minimum of 6 months in prison for perjury before Parliament.
So that was the first part of the interview with Mr. Barrett, and it was a absolute pleasure to be speaking with him. And shout out to his staff, who seemed equally as excited that we were there speaking.
Yeah, it was really sweet. We had brought in all our camera gear and everything, and we had a friend of ours assisting with the setup and everything. And when we were all set up and ready to go, we're like, oh, you can just have a seat, and why don't you take some behind the scenes photos for us? And she's like, okay. And then Michael Barrett had said to his staff, you guys can come in too, because they were kind of like peeking in the door, and they were just so excited to be part of the interview. It was really awesome. I think it's like these little things that you don't see in front of the camera that really shows the humanity of everybody involved, the MPs, like how they are kind to their staff, and the staff, how they're excited to be part of it. It's great people working towards a common goal for this country.
Yeah, and he has great energy.
He does, yeah, really
to.
positive energy. And one of the things I saw a few times in the chat, we were kind of sitting here snooping while we were listening to the clip, was that the board behind Michael Barrett with the drawings from his children, the angle of the camera did not fully capture how big this board was. It must have been probably about 6 feet long and maybe 3 feet tall. Like, it was bigger than the TV behind us for sure. And it was just covered in drawings and notes from his children. And it was just the most endearing thing.
And for somebody like Michael Barrett, who you see in committee a lot, that means he spends a lot of time away from his family and a lot of time away from his kids. So, those drawings, those notes, like those, mean the world to him when he's coming back to his office, and he's just reminded, this is what I'm fighting for.
Yeah, and I think, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but it feels like it can be a reminder of, I'm fighting for my children, but I'm fighting for the other children of Canada as well.
Right. So there is more to that interview, not to worry. And you'll see that posted in the coming weeks as well. So, but it's great to see that we're getting a lot of really positive feedback from the interviews. So that's great. And there's one more, which is a former Liberal that was in Justin Trudeau's government. So stand by for that one at midnight. So off we go back to, and it is not Dan McKeed, by the way. Because I saw that guess a lot. Anyhow, here we go. Jean Den. Wow, my eyes are not serving me well. Denby with a $20 super sticker. You are amazing. Thank you so much for that. And that wasn't there when I left. That's funny. And Leanna Potter with a $20 super chat. We were wearing our hoodie in Grand Prairie, Alberta. Had comments on them. Also got a friend who started watching now. She wants a similar channel for Australia.
Oh, very cool.
We'll call that Southern perspective at that
there
point. You go. Affiliation. But that's great. Thank you so much for that anecdote. Rick Liard with a $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you for making politics simple, understandable, and fun. Happy New Year from Blacks Harbor, New Brunswick.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
I want to see where that is.
You want to know where that is?
Blacks, and how close we were. Let's see. Maps. We may have been...
Because we were in Tabasantak, and we went to... Where was that lovely aquarium? Was that in Bathurst?
No. That was up... up near the peak of that might have been at like Carrickit or something. It was in the predominantly French part, and no, we haven't been in Blacks Harbor. That's on the southern part of New Brunswick, but looks like a beautiful spot. So put that on our list of having to go there at one point. Thank you very much, Rick. Peter Fryer with a $14 super chat. I went to Bass Pro the other day, and fortunately, we can still purchase slingshots. Yeah, they haven't been. We haven't shipped those over to Ukraine yet, so. SHP, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you very much. PSX Pirate 1 with a $2 super chat. Lucky Ryan, Tanya, the political siren.
Thanks, I do it again.
You see her with the makeup off.
Yeah.
Red with Saves with a $2 super chat. Build a rendering cluster. You can do it. Not with our budget.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds expensive.
It's what like DreamWorks uses.
Oh, okay.
Norm Nicholson, member for 17 months. Ryan and Tanya, thank you both so much for helping us all get through the impossible until the possible appears. Love you. Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Norm.
Norman, your lovely wife, longtime supporters. Thank you so much. And Lionel DeGrand
Prix
with a $5 super chat. Tech Talk, love it. Loved my 3DFX Voodoo 5500. Yeah, those were great cards. Crap now, but those were great cards back in the day.
We also have Dana Wick with a $50 super chat saying, here's an idea. Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Newfoundland be afforded the opportunity to pay Canada's debt through energy and removing them from having to make transfer payments for 5 years. I'm sure energy provinces can pay off the debt in no time. I don't even know if we need that. I think we just need to be like, okay, everybody, go nuts with the energy, and then the jobs that will create, the income tax, I think that will help pay down the debt.
Well, the Conservatives have to literally do everything. They have to cut spending. They have to increase investment. They have to cut the public service. They have to cut some programs. It's not going to be fun, but it never is when you're trying to get out of a financial mess, at home. They need to be putting in some sort of legislation that limits future governments from being able to make this, any worse. That's what they need to do. Because here's the danger, folks, and it's unavoidable because in Canada we vote governments out. We don't vote governments in. That's just historically how Canadians operate.
Yeah, it was funny. We were having this conversation with Vesper today, and we had said that exact thing, that we don't vote governments out. We don't vote them in, we vote them out. And I said, look at what happened to Stephen Harper. He had gotten through the country through a very difficult time economically. And he was like, okay, we need to just stay the course and keep doing the steady stuff. And everyone's like, no, we don't want that guy anymore. We're bored. We want the guy who's going to offer us legalized marijuana.
We want the guy doing push-ups.
Yeah.
So, and Canada fell for it, right? So the danger is going to be in 8 years when everyone is bored and tired of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, because that's the typical maximum lifespan of Canadian governments. What happens then, right? That's going to be the question. So, and this is why we tell everybody, do not take your eye off the political football. Shannon's Cooper, member for 2 months, wishing you a happy New Year 2025. Let's go. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And CJR902 with a $2 super chat. Wait and buy a 5090. Don't buy an Intel processor. My next processor is going to be a Ryzen. It's going to be an AMD Ryzen, that's for sure. But with the rig that I have, because I built it
last summer,
it's probably going to be good for about 4 years. So
yeah, and we'll just swap out parts as necessary, because you not only replace the graphics card, but you also replace the power supply, right?
Yeah, but that's pretty fickle. If you're going to replace the processor at one point, you're typically replacing the board, and then you have to replace the RAM, and then you might as well just replace everything at that point. So,
and Barnaby's letting me know that Will Kalachuk just dropped 10 gifted Northern Perspective memberships for us hitting 4,000 likes.
Wow! Thank you so much, Will. Thank you, and well done, NP Nation. Troy Boyarski, member for 13 months. Thank you very much for that. A very happy New Year to you all at Northern Perspective. Vigilance, determination, and Canadian heart. You got that right.
Thank you.
And Brandon Christopher with a $5 super chat. Shout out to my mobile game friend Alex CT1, who just hopped on NP for the first time. Quebec is in the house.
Awesome. Welcome.
And let's see, SHP with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Sly256 with a $28 super chat. Thank you very, very much for that. Happy New Year, NP Nation. The upcoming year should be one to rebuild this beautiful country, hoping we will get the answers such as the extent of damage of the slush fund and traders. And by all accounts, everyone that we've talked to, it sounds like these investigations, even though they will technically end when this government is dissolved or is prorogued,
they're going to boot it right back up.
They're going to boot these right back up, and they're going to have the ability and the numbers and control to be able to get through them ASAP, instead of all this finagling and negotiating that they have to do and all this crap.
Right, because if you remember, a year ago in committee, the NDP were voting alongside the Liberals to shut things down.
Yep.
They're not going to be able to do that in the new government because it's going to be a majority Conservative government, a super majority.
And if the NDP aren't careful, they won't even be allowed to be invited to committee.
Yeah, they won't because they won't be a party.
So they better play nice. And Christian Fitzgibbons?
Yes.
With a $2 super chat. Happy New Year and better days ahead. Thank you so much. Jarsha with a $5 super chat. Voting Trudeau out is going to feel like Kirk kicking Krug over the cliff. We have had enough of you. Oh my goodness. Why do I know that's Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock? That's terrible.
You're a nerd.
And
nerd.
And that's Christopher Lloyd who played him too. But that's a great image. And Rebia Nordhoff with a $2 super chat. I go by Rob. I'm a Dutch Arab.
Okay, cool.
Gotcha. Rob
Thank
is...
you.
I'll try and remember
I was going to
that.
say it's not Iceland because it always ends in daughter or son. Like,
oh, that's true.
Yeah.
David's daughter or David's son.
Yeah.
And Christian Fitzgibbons with a $5 super chat. I hope that everyone has a great 2025 with new leadership, new hope, new love, and joy. Hug a neighbor and smile, brighter days ahead. I love all of the optimism and positivity all of you are bringing. This is amazing. Koba Face with a $5 super chat. Before we welcome in 2025, I would like to read the terms and conditions first. May not want to participate. That's awesome. Hoping for a happy new year. Well, speaking of reading...
Of course, the Prime Minister reads any documents he does receive.
Right?
There is nothing that is ever kept from the Prime Minister.
Thanks, Katie.
I don't think that turned out to be accurate.
No. I would say is with a $5 super chat. The Tea Party was started over a 2% tax increase. Us poor schlups in Canada now are paying over 50% in taxes.
Yeah, we pay a lot in taxes. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation crunched the numbers, and I believe it depends on the province, but average across Canada, it's 43% of your paycheck is going to taxes, whether that's income tax, carbon tax, tax at the liquor store, tax on cigarettes, tax on HST, GST, whatever. Yeah. That's gross.
But they're taking tax off of toys.
Right.
For 2 months.
And Christmas trees that you can buy until February 15th.
Yeah. Because, I need to get my Valentine's Christmas tree up. So, anyway, Yevon Gendro, member for 5 months. Remember, People Jagmeet's demographic gets together and votes in droves. That's why they have such a huge influence in all levels of government. And Vexed Angel with a $5 super chat. 130,000 viewers. Well done, Tanya and Ryan. Wishing you and NP Nation amazing 2025. Thank you very much. And Will Kalchuk with a $5 super chat. If an election is called, do you think Pierre Poilievre would meet with Trump, or will he do it after he wins? I think he's going to do it after he wins, and I like that he's doing it this way.
He's being classy. He's being classy.
Some people will criticize him, say, "Well, you know what? Why aren't you going to do it now?" Because he is taking the same approach that he is imposing on his party. We have not won anything yet. So I'm not going to go and meet with Mr. Trump, just assuming I'm going to sail to a conservative win.
Right.
That would take my eye off the ball. Justin Trudeau is the one in power right now. So Justin Trudeau should be the one that is dealing with this. That's basically what he's saying. Now, as soon as he is prime minister, I 100% believe that he's going to have a plan and approach ready to go and then meet with President Trump. but he's doing, in my opinion, what he should be doing at this point. Because if he was, he would be criticized from one end of Canada to the other from the legacy media of, oh, look at how arrogant Pierre Poilievre is. You know, he's already starting to act like he's prime minister, even though he doesn't even have the job yet. So he is conducting himself, I think, in the classiest and most responsible way.
100%.
Daniel T with a $7 super chat. I am surrounded by naysayers, and I have to thank you both of you plus NP Nation for all your encouragement. Cheers. Absolutely, Daniel, and send them our way. Send them our way.
We'll straighten them out.
That's right. YouTube is having a
fit. I have a $2 super chat from Lionel de Grand Prix. It says, irony, John Tory ran Kim Campbell's campaign. I did not know that. Probably because I was like 5 when it happened.
That could be. Could be.
We have a $10 super chat from Drayden F. It says, late to the show tonight by about 45 minutes, but I want to thank you guys for filled the void after Andrew Lawton had to stop his show to run for CPC. YouTube algorithm actually worked in 2024. Awesome. Awesome.
Perfect.
Well, we're glad to have you here. And, Happy New Year. Let's keep pushing ahead to 2025.
And I know YouTube has missed one of the chats coming up. So Libby T, member for 7 months. Thanks for all you do. Happy New Year. And to you, Libby. Diane Sylvain with a $5 super chat. Yo, man, will you be live streaming the January 7th committee? Eagle Spirit Man is probably the chain of command, LOL, like finance minister. It depends on when it is. We have a meeting at our son's school.
That we have been pushing for. That has taken forever to get.
It may not be live. So if it's not live during the day, then we will most likely have a live stream at night.
At night, yeah.
So one way or another, we will be covering it like that. Lawrence Neal with a $10 super chat. The libs are like the founders. all the Star Trek references. Evil, manipulative, and controlling. We need someone like Captain Ben Sisko to lead this country. Well, that would be Pierre to lead this country after the Dominion War we've been suffering through.
Yeah, I need to watch more Star Trek because I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
So good.
What is it that you do?
Is not watching Star Trek.
I was going to say not watching enough Star Trek, clearly.
Catherine English with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. My mom and I met Mr. Barrett before Christmas with our MLA Jake Stewart. Both great guys. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Paul.
Barrett was wonderful. Like, it was so cute because our son had never done this before. He was with us, and our son saw us shake Mr. Barrett's hand, and then he put his little hand out for a handshake. It was the cutest thing, and Barrett was talking to him, and it was so adorable.
Trevor Mann with a $5 super chat. Thank you to you both. I wish you all Merry Christmas and a healthy and happy New Year. Thank you very much. And Paul Barnett with a $5 super chat. Wish I lived in Leeds, Granville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
You can always move.
Peter Witten with a $2 super chat. Saint Michael Barrett. Yeah. And Debbie Clark with a $10 super chat. Happy New Year to the best. I've been a fan for a long time and learned so much from you two. Thank you muchly. Thank you very much for watching. Rose says with a $5 super chat. There are consequences. You get a car and you get a car. You work for the Trudeau government. Everybody gets a car. Dude with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Another long time supporter. This is for the individual who is having trouble and still living at home. I am in the same boat, and I recommend getting your Class 3 first aid and security guard endorsement to get a job as a security guard so you can save. That's good advice.
Awesome. Thank you for that advice. And we have... sorry, were you going to say something?
I was going to say I also applied to be a security guard when I was in... This was pre-Tanya and I. But it's not fun, but it's good. It's normally good paying work.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you to Ship with a $100 super chat. It says, Trudeau is allowing abuse of smart contracts, I believe, with secret orders in council and LLCs to take people's property with assistance of private military contractors. Laws need to form and investigations on smart contracts for medical research / real estate. We need RICO laws.
Okay, interesting.
Thank you for that. I honestly hope the Conservatives will just come in and clean everything up.
And Dream Defender, welcome to NP supporter. Thank you very much. Dudu with a $10 super chat. Save up, switch to night shift, and no back to trade school because trade workers are in high demand. That's my plan, and this is a continuation from my first chat. Yeah, that's a really good plan. If you're willing and able, and you can switch over to a trade. Electricians, plumbers, like
my
really
cousin
high
is
demand.
a plumber, and he moved up to Kirkland Lake, and he's constantly working. There's so much work up there for him that like he can't do it all.
Well, and this is a consequence of all of the kids being told for like decades, go to university, don't go to the trades. There's nobody in the trades now that all of the veterans are now retiring. So they are now in high demand and are getting paid top dollar because they're in high demand. So very good advice. Daniel T with a 279 super chat. Shipskin is where the fishery museum.
Yes,
That's where we
yes.
went.
Our son had so much fun there.
Mama J with a $5 super chat. Yay, Michael Barrett. Can't wait to watch the entire interview. I love all these awesome interviews. Keep up the great work. Amazing. Thank you. And Palm Fum with a $5 super chat. Pierre lied when he claimed ignorance to what Harper signed Canada up for UN agendas. Pierre has already started to backpedal. Happy New Year anyways. Thank you for that.
And we have, sorry, I'm probably going to butcher this. It's Whifferst SS. It says, awesome that you got Michael Barrett. Hope he liked the I can explain it to you meme. Didn't we tell him that we turned him into a meme?
Yeah, I think so.
I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. It was very straightforward.
I know we told Garnet that we turned him into a meme.
Oh, and Garnet loves it. He loves it. Still got to get the potted plant one for him. Rose says with Philip Nevis with a $2 super chat. Get a Max Rock. I will politely disagree. Rose says with a $5 super chat. The problem is we get tired of the old PM, but then we have no real conservative alternative, so we go back left and back into the ditch. Facts. Jelly Beans with a $5 super chat. There will have to be someone with more charisma than Pierre to get them off the CPC train. Canada has been traumatized by this Liberal and NDP government.
True story.
And
one last one before we show our next clip at midnight. This is from Antoinette R. It says, met the youngest daughter's boyfriend today, and we got to chatting politics. He signed the petition and has been shown your channel, bringing in the next generation. Well, I love it.
So
awesome.
So the boyfriend is trying to get in good with
the family.
With the parents,
yep.
So
he's doing a good job
so far. He's a keeper. So far he's a keeper.
All right. So this is our last clip of the evening. Did you want to introduce it?
I introduced the rest of them. You can introduce this one if you want.
So this is a clip of an interview that we were doing with Bob Bertina, who is the former mayor of Hamilton, and he's also a former Liberal MP. Kind of funny how this relationship with Bob got started. He watches the channel, and he had sent a correction for, I had said something about the writing of Hamilton East Stony Creek, which is going to be our new riding. I had said that it's always been NDP as far as I could remember, and I was thinking the provincial one, the federal one. It has the same name and is not always NDP because Bob ran and won in 2015 as a Liberal, and we just started talking. Ryan started talking with Bob, and we've been developing this great relationship. And he's got a lot to say, and why don't we show everybody?
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, former Liberal MP, former mayor of Hamilton, and former radio broadcaster. As soon as you hear his voice, you'll say, yes, of course.
Yeah, I could listen to Bob speak all day. He has a wonderful voice.
He has a very silky voice, so enjoy. We present to you the former Member of Parliament for Hamilton Stony Creek, as well as the former mayor of Hamilton, Bob Bertina. Bob, welcome to Northern Perspective.
Well, thanks. I'm a big fan of the show. I think what you're doing is important, so I'm kind of honored to be here with you.
So I guess the first question, Bob, what is a former Liberal MP doing interested in the conservative side of politics?
Well, I always, as a voter, voted for the best person in the riding. When it was obvious there was going to be a change, there was no Liberal representation in Hamilton. There was NDP, there was Conservative. I didn't run to take out a Conservative. I ran to win an NDP seat, which I did. Even in the sweep, the NDP were still strong. Chris Charlton had left the mountain, but Scott Duval came in and won fairly handily. So it was a bit of a challenge, but I was glad to be able to do that. Of course, we added a riding in Hamilton West, which Philomena Tassi won. So we did have Liberal representation. But that was what it was, the reason that I got into it. And I suppose we're going to talk about the reason that I got
out of it.
out of it. I'll just say briefly that Pierre Elliott Trudeau once said that away from Parliament Hill, MPs are nobodies. Well, I think his son has made it that when you're on Parliament Hill, you're a nobody.
He's definitely polling that way, that's for sure. So you decided to run for the Liberal Party in 2015. You met Justin Trudeau, just in was it in passing? Was it official?
Well, I had met him prior to his becoming the leader. He was in Hamilton, and I think he was looking for people such as mayors, etc., and I was the mayor, so we had a long chat about that. And, he's a presentable guy. He knows how to behave in public, and we had a good conversation. And then subsequently, I decided to make the move. But it was pretty quickly obvious that, not that I wasn't going anywhere, because remember, I had a 45-year career in broadcasting. Mm-hmm. I was in my 70s. I wasn't pining to be, an honorable or anything like that, but I wanted to get things done for Hamilton. And so that was the situation that I've hoped to encounter. But one of the first things in one of the caucus meetings was a conversation about changing the standing orders, the behavior orders of the Parliament. Mm-hmm. And one of the things the Prime Minister told us was, yeah, and you know who made up those standing orders? Old white people. That's who made those standing orders. I said, well,
I kind of classify
don't count too much in this one. And there were lots of other things. Even before the election started, they were talking about returning home postal service. And it was ridiculous because we knew, all the mayors knew in Ontario and Canada, I guess, that we were finding locations for the super boxes and so on. And so to pander for any possible vote, okay, we're going to get the mailman to bring your letter up to the mailbox. A, how many people are in that situation now because we've changed it so much? And B, what about rural? What about those mile-long lanes?
Yeah.
So it just, a lot of that stuff said, well, why are you doing that? You want to change from what's been, focus on the things that are important to people. But it seemed that every little thing that might get a vote was considered.
And so you served your first 4 years in Parliament. At what point really did it hit you that, you know what, I can't continue this?
Well, several things along the way meant a declining interest in the way things were going. And once again, it is early in the game because, for instance, we had the last election first past the post.
Yeah.
So we're in a caucus meeting, and in 1 hour, we're told Karina Gould is going to go out and announce her new mandate letter that we're not doing electoral reform. Well, there was a big buzz among all of us, like, well, why do we have to abandon it? Put it on the back burner, let's see what can happen year after the next year. But the assumption was that the Liberals might win a minority government, but in fact they won a majority government. And that was the worst thing. That blew out electoral reform. Oh, who needs that?
Yeah.
And it also made the group very arrogant because there were a lot of young, new people in politics who all of a sudden, and this is the worst thing about politics, people think they're more important than they really are. Mm-hmm. You're there to do a job. But a lot of folks need to enhance their sense of self-worth and their ego and so on. I was lucky because people sort of knew who I was after all those years doing Tiger Cats and stuff like that. So that wasn't one of my things. So I don't begrudge them that, but it's a little obvious. And I worked in a field that was very egotistical. Every announcer thought they were better than the other announcer. So I could see it, and I wasn't impressed by it.
Is it? Do you think it's that way for? I'm not going to say all politicians, but most politicians, like they get elected and then they arrive in Ottawa and they have staff and they have an office and all. Like, is it difficult not to succumb to that?
Of course not. It's because you're in focus. And I can recall, when I first drove my wife up to Ottawa after I had been elected. And as you drive up to the Parliament buildings, especially the old center block, which is being renovated, wow, this is, it's like Maple Leaf Gardens was in the old days. And you're part of it. But then you start strutting around with your long black coat and your briefcase and the important look on your face, and nobody really cares. But no, it does get to you, and you should be able to, all of us, including the Prime Minister, grow into the importance of the job. But in our case, there was a hermetically sealed PMO office, and we didn't very often have much of an impact.
So that is the first part of a lengthy discussion with Bob Bertina, and whether you think he was a good politician or not, it's actually not really even relevant. What's relevant, in our opinion, is that he provides some interesting insight as to what was going on behind the doors in the Liberal caucus. That was the most fascinating part for this. And why I have a lot of respect for Bob, for no other reason, is that he ran and was elected as a Liberal in 2015.
Which they had the majority, so he did 4 years.
And immediately started to see some red flags as to what was going on with the Liberal government, and announced that I'm not being part of this anymore. And the riding stayed red.
Yep. He didn't go, oh, well, I should stick around for a few more years and get my pension. No, he saw what was going on, said, I don't like this. This isn't what I signed up for. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to stick around like a certain other politician that is, leader of a party that is orange and try to get a pension.
Right. And he could have, right? He could have ran again and most likely won and got his pension. And he actually talks about that.
And you don't see that kind of integrity anymore.
No.
In general. Like,
no.
Just that to me is like old school, doing it right kind of politics, where if you don't believe in it anymore, then and you can't change it, then it's time to leave.
Well, and this is where disappointment in the colleagues that have stayed on just because, just because, well, I want to get my pension, just because this is a cushy job, just because I like feeling important. This is where my respect really, really grows for Bob. And because that's hard, right? That's hard to...
It's hard to do what's right.
Yeah, and he made the decision, listen, if I'm not going to be taken seriously here, why am I here? Like, what?
Why am I... If I can't do anything, why am I on the taxpayer's
why
dime?
am I being paid this money, for this taxpayer money, if I'm going to have no impact on this whatsoever, and I'm not even going to be allowed to do anything for my community? What's the point?
And it's nice that Bob has endorsed Ned Curick, who is the Conservative candidate for this riding, that we are now going to be a part of this riding based on the boundary change. If all things go the way we want them to, then Ned will be our new MP.
Well, and this is where Bob says he doesn't support a particular party. He supports the best candidate. So, and this is why I think maybe he gravitated to Northern Perspective. And
I think that's why you guys connect so well, like on a personal level, because even your philosophy for politics is like, I don't care about the party. What's the platform?
Right. and we've said that many times. Now, Tanya may just continue to vote Conservative, which is, fine. That's her democratic right. But
we'll see. We'll see what they do.
But that's why it's platform over politics, and that's where it's great to see Bob, who was on the Liberal camp, ran, in a partisan way to be a Liberal, and is now saying, the Liberals are out to lunch. I'm supporting the Conservative candidates now. So, cheers to Bob. And it's proof that there are people out there with some integrity that that would rather not take advantage of the advantages that they that they had before them, because they want to do the right thing. So so that is I believe it's a 35, almost 40-minute interview. Great chat, great talk, and Bob may come back for election night, depending if scheduling works out. So that would be phenomenal to hang out with Bob and talk about things as they unfold. So thank you very much, Mr. Bertina, if you are watching, and we really enjoy the feedback that you provide on some of the information that we have, and
we look forward to this interview dropping again in the new year.
Absolutely. So, okay, so let's get through the end of this, folks. Not too many left. So Vex Danger with a $5 super chat. If the Bloc becomes the official opposition, what does that mean for the representation beyond Quebec? Nothing really. It just means that the Bloc is the official opposition.
And that everything's going to be through a translator. I see the only problem with the Bloc being the official opposition is that everything's going to be in French, and for
engagement will go down.
Well, for Ryan and I, who only speak English, I mean, I know a few words in French, but for all intents and purposes, I only speak English. All of the interactions from the House of Commons from the Bloc are going to be filtered through a translator, and a lot I feel is lost in translation, especially the emotions. So yeah, that's the part that I'm not looking forward to.
Travis Wiggs with a $7 super chat. Thank you very, very much for that. Goko Dining with a $10 super chat. New rig built, waiting for a new GPU, 13th gen Intel platform, but AMD is the heart. This spring had to build Mouse's battle box first. Me next. I refuse to start it with an older card, 128 gigs of RAM. Attaboy.
And thank you to Gordon Meir gifting 20 Northern Perspective memberships.
Wow. Thank you so much, Gordon. You've been on fire tonight. Thank you very, very much. Daniel T with a $2.79 super chat. Misspelt Shipigan. Oh, yes. That makes a lot more sense, Daniel. Yes.
Thank you.
Theorica with a $10 super chat. The last decade under the Liberals summed up in a sci-fi quote. There are 4 lots. Not our Star Trek quote. And that's one of the best Star Trek episodes in TNG, in my opinion. Rabu Sades with a $2 super chat. Wait, buy Christmas trees for firewood.
But don't you gotta dry them out?
Well, a lot of these are fake trees too. So.
Oh, then yeah, that's not good for you.
Anybody want to get high? Janice Pollard with a $5 super chat. Just curious, did you know that Alberta and Saskatoon were once considered one province called Buffalo? Check out the story. It's interesting.
Oh, cool. I will check it out because I like stuff like that for the Trivia Tuesdays. So very cool. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Brenda A with a $7 super chat. Keep it up. And there's a pair lifting weights. There you go. Thank you very much. One WW guy with a $5 super chat. No balanced budget means no pay and no pensionable time for MPs, or 50% pay cut and 2 years of pensionable time. And I've said Ferengi for years. That's actually a good idea.
Is it though? Because think of all the backbenchers who have no influence over that sort of thing. And if the Prime Minister just wants to go rogue, well...
But then he doesn't get a raise either.
Yeah, but I feel like it's group punishment.
There should be some incentive. So I think
there should be.
I think you're on the right track, WW guys. So, Will Kalchuk with a $5 super chat. Thank you for saying that. Now I can say the right thing to my lib friends who are sitting on the fence. Just maybe I can still make them fall off.
Push them.
Not sure what we said, but I'm glad it was the right thing. Cal Bro with a $5 super chat. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. Words to live by for a sitting government. It's actually, well, that's utilitarianism, and that leads to communism at some point. So,
I like how Pierre says, we're not the masters were the servants. I think that's an important thing. And it seems like our current government has forgotten that. They think that they're up here and we're down here, but it should be the opposite. And that's what Pierre and the Conservatives are trying to bring back.
And Kitty Nukes with a $2 super chat at work. We'll watch later. Happy New Year to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
James Harris with a $2 super chat. Boot Ikra Khalid out of committee. So we've been told that she is...
We've been told lots of things.
Put it this way. Yeah, we've been told lots of things. None of them are positive. And that's all I'll say. Yevon Gendra with a $14 super chat. I came in super late, so I'll have to catch up tomorrow while I'm at work, lifting things up and putting them back down. Merry Christmas, Cypher and Fox, and have a marvelous New Year. Thank you so much.
You too.
Diane Sylvain with a $20 super chat. Libs are like Data's evil twin. That's Laura. Lacking the good emotion ship. They all give off an air of arrogance and elitism. Barrett is great. He survived the NDP rush at his house seat. He would also be a great prosecutor.
He would be. He goes really hard at these guys in committee. But 100%. When you're talking to him one-on-one, he's just like the nicest, most chill guy ever.
Vesper Digital with a $20 super chat. Not going to be outdone on the Star Trek. Temba, his arms wide. My friends and fellow Canadians, as I look at Canada's future and the hope to come, I am reminded of Spock's words. We will do what we have always done, Jim. We will find hope in the impossible.
Very well said. Thank you.
And
sorry, YouTube skipped one from Jordan Premo. It says, love the channel, keep up the good work. By the way, our Commons lists MPs in order of precedence, and Macaulay is next in line before LeBlanc. Kelly Macaulay? Because he's Conservative. Interesting.
Have to look at that.
Unless there's another Macaulay that I'm not thinking of.
Could be. Nick Skuse with a $10 super chat. Do you think this might be the year that Hamilton ditches the orange signs?
I hope
not
so.
Hamilton Center.
Hamilton Center's always NDP.
Now, the Conservatives have made a dent.
Conservatives are polling well in the rest of Hamilton.
Yeah.
Because there's HWAD, there's Flamborough, Glanbrook, which has been expanded now. And then there is... Hamilton East, Stony Creek, Hamilton Mountain, which is kind of on the fence, I think, and then Hamilton Center. And I think those are all of our ridings.
Yeah, so I'll just bring up Hamilton Center so you can see it. So this is Hamilton Center. So yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Unfortunately.
So
I mean, it's a steel town, right? There's a lot of unions down there, and all the unions are still telling people to vote NDP like it's the 1970s.
Yeah. So 25-point lead in Hamilton Center, but there's a good possibility that will be surrounded by Conservative ridings now. So
yeah, like I think the other four, I either have a very, very good chance of turning blue or staying blue, or a good chance at least.
So if you're in Hamilton Center, get a bunch of Conservatives out there to vote.
Right. And again, ground game is going to be what wins things. So if you're in the Hamilton Center EDA and you've got some time, volunteer with the EDA, go door knocking, offer to put signs in the ground, whatever you're able to do.
And Transcription with a $100 super chat. Thank you so much. Every NDP Lib attack. We know their weaknesses now. Aim for the bridge. Full disruptors. PRP. Mr. Brock, fire! NDP Libs. Surprise Lursa and Baitor faces. What happened? Defeat. How? Oh my goodness. We all know what that episode is.
I don't.
Rabbit says with a $5 super chat, his story seems to collaborate Selena, Caesar, Siobhan's quite a bit. Yeah. That's all we hear from all these different people is Trudeau has like this massive ego. His inner circle is the inner circle, and you don't get in, and they don't listen to anybody. So, and Canadian Sparky with a $10 super chat. I'm working up at the oil sands and thought I'd hop on quickly to wish you all a happy New Year's. Thank you, NP Nation, for a great 2024. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Rabbit says with a $10 super chat, it is also super scummy when any politician says something in French to a French crowd, but something directly opposed in English to an English crowd, assuming no one knows both, right? And Jilly Beans with a $2 super chat. MP wages set to the median wage of Canadians. Imagine that. And Lloyd Cameron with a $5 super chat. I live in the Cochrane area, and when I wear your sweater, you would be amazed how many people around here love your podcast.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
All right, folks. It is
Almost
12:23.
Yeah, we're getting there.
So it's been almost a 3-hour live stream. Maybe can you put up a quick poll just to I want to see how people liked the structure of the show. We liked it because it allowed us to get through things. And,
you just have to give me 30 seconds because my browser crashed again. I think YouTube has some sort of memory leak because in talking to you guys, also in talking to my mom, seems that YouTube likes to crash when it feels like it. And it's not doing it on my phone. It's only doing it on my browser. So,
and
all right. So
Jordan,
what was the poll? Sorry.
Did you like how we structured the show? Okay. Yes or no? And I had a feeling this was going to be like this. Jordan Primo with a $10 super chat. Lawrence Macaulay, Minister of Agriculture, Agri-Food. If you go to Ministry Cabinet and choose the order of precedence, it'll show the order for all 39 ministers. First 3 are Trudeau, Macaulay, and LeBlanc. So there you go.
Okay. Poll is live, so please vote in the poll there. We're just asking about the structure of the show where we had some
designated
content
times for
and
content,
then we had some super chats and then some content, etc., etc. The other thing is, please, if you haven't done so already, sign our petition. It's linked at the top there. It's just above the poll. And you can sign once per email address. So if you are sharing an email address with a family member, your spouse, your kid, whatever, you can only sign once per email address. Also, you have to be 18 plus to sign it. You will receive an email after signing asking you to confirm your signature. So keep an eye out on your inbox as well as your junk folder for that. The petition closes on January the 18th. We're trying to get as many signatures as possible. We're inching slowly towards 60,000, which is nothing to sneeze at. In this session of Parliament, right now we're the 7th most signed petition. So Canadians want an election. Canadians want the Trudeau government to do the right thing and dissolve Parliament so that we can vote in the government that we want. Again, takes maybe 2 minutes to sign. Don't listen to the naysayers who are saying, oh, that won't work. Only a non-confidence vote will work, or don't do that because it's a complete waste of time. It's not a waste of time. We don't know what's going to happen. You may as well try.
And stay away from the negativity.
Yes.
If they're not supporting it, if they're not promoting it, if they're saying you shouldn't sign it, you have to ask yourself, why would you not want the election to actually happen? So that's the question.
Because misery loves company.
Peter went with a $2 super chat. Good night and God bless. Thank you very much. Justin Brown, member for 11 months. Happy New Year, everybody. If you wish to contact the Minister of National Revenue responsible for the CRA, it's Mary Claude Bibeau. And Adam Canadian, member for 9 months. There used to be a time when the history, sacredness of our flag, and the privilege to serve was enough to keep government workers humble. Love you guys. And there was. And
we need to bring it back to that.
Well, and at the risk of shilling, Canada wasn't like this before Justin Trudeau, and it won't be like this after Justin Trudeau.
That's right.
So thank you very, very much, everybody, for all the support, for everything. Hopefully the show lived up to the hype. And
all those interviews are going to be coming probably within the next month. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll start releasing them in the new year. Stay safe this new year. Don't drink and drive, please. And have a happy new year.
Have a wonderful new year. And we'll see you in the comments.